never met him.
Yeah, he's a lawyer, but he's never practiced. He works in the cyber insurance industry. Takes a lot of money to do. God knows, I have no idea. So, always seems to be the better way to be a lawyer than that's not.
I guess something's not coming out of me, Waddle.
No. Danny's always late.
Yeah,
Danny
no,
Danny
but
comes
what
in.
about,
Chris.
Chris,
Yeah,
is he coming?
No, Chris is not coming.
Danny's usually
Okay.
here to 6:15.
Oh, no, not ready?
Yeah.
Or at least see it.
There's a lot of traffic between Central Islip and Islip. It's brutal.
Especially when you guys go through Bohemian.
Yeah, no, he hasn't got the farming job.
Oh, is that what Wednesday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday is? Okay.
Tuesday.
No.
Yeah, they do.
I think it's
Doesn't
better than
matter.
Wednesday.
It's,
Oh, by
uh,
far.
By far. I don't
Well, the
care.
food is
I
much
did
more.
things.
Yeah.
Service was great. I mean, the particular night I went to girl was impressive. After the section, Tuesday night.
I've never been there.
Yeah, I think it was Tuesday night.
He is.
Then I went to go in on Wednesday night at the plant.
No, that's
Then I
very
didn't
nice.
walk
Now I
out.
do.
They always have a girl there, you know.
Ready? We're all set?
Yeah,
That's-
Notice is hereby given that the zoning board of appeals of the town of Islip will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, September 5, 2023, on the following applications at the times listed or as soon thereafter as they may be reached. At such time, all interested parties will be given an opportunity to be heard. Application number 562-23, Pierre and Marie Thoreau. Permission to leave pool patio having rear yard of 2.5 feet instead of required 6 feet, and patio having side yard of 1.5 feet instead of required 4 feet. Residence B District. Anybody here on that application? Pierre and Marie Thoreau?
Toro?
Okay,
Second goal.
that's a good start, huh? Application number 563-23, Anthony and Lucia Kotarski. Permission to leave in-ground pool having front yard of 26.6 feet instead of required 27 feet. Pool deck having front yard of 21 feet instead of required 22 feet. And deck having front yard of 21.3 feet instead of required 22 feet. Residence A District, southwest corner of Peter Paul Drive and Ryan Street, West Islip. How are you?
Good evening. Could you give us your name and address, please?
Lucia Kotarski, 586 Peter Paul Drive in West Islip.
You've got just these three minor variances that you're requesting?
Yes.
All right, anybody have any questions?
No.
No.
Planning, any comments? I'll take a motion then.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion that we grant the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application's granted.
Thank you.
You did a good job.
Application number 564-23, George and Nancy Fua, Jonathan and Amanda Fua. Permission to leave pool patio having rear yard of 2.4 feet and side yard of 2.5 feet instead of required 6 feet each. Residence B District, southwest corner of Sayville Avenue and Karshik Street, Sayville.
Hello, Jonathan Pua, 888 Sayville Avenue in Bohemia.
All right, so we could just have the pool patio variances. Any questions from any of the board members? No. Planning, any comments? No? I'll take a
No
motion.
question. Make a motion, we approve the application.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Application's approved.
Thank you.
Application number 565-23, Florin and Mihaela Gergi. Permission to leave shed having side yard of 3 feet instead of required 4 feet, and 2 patios having side yard of 1 foot and 0.5 feet instead of required 4 feet each. Residence A District, east side of Sheldon Street, 125 feet north of Carnation Avenue. Central Islip?
Yes. Mihaela Gerge, 63 Sheldon Street, Central Islip. Mihaela Gerge, 63 Sheldon Street, Central Islip, and Florin Gerge.
I'm Florin Gerge, Sam Adams.
Thank you. All right, so we've just got for the shed here and the patios.
Yes.
Okay, any questions from the board on this?
No.
Planning, do you have any comments? No, I'll take a motion then.
I'll make a motion that we grant the application, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Application's granted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Application number 566-23, Terry and Linda Stein. Permission to leave roofed-over entrance platform 4.8 by 6.6, having side yard of 10.2 feet instead of required 14 feet, resulting in floor area ratio of 26% instead of permitted 25%. Residence A District, south side of Elm Street, 70 feet west of Edwards Avenue, Sayville.
Good evening. Terry Stein, 112 Elm Street, Sayville, New York.
Good evening, Mr. Stein. So we're just here on the roofed over entrance and the FAR of 26% instead of 25?
Yes.
Do you have any questions from planning? No? Any questions?
No.
No? All right, I'll take a motion then.
Make a motion, we approve the application? Yeah. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application's granted.
Thank you so much.
Application number 567-23, SSP Royal Properties LLC. Is anybody here on that application? We suspected they were not responsive. Permission to leave cellar entrance. Anybody here on SSP Royal Properties LLC? I'm going to do a second call on that. But. Application number 568-23, Luis Moracho and Lena Madrid. Permission to erect two-story addition, 11.58 feet by 12.58 feet, leaving side yard of 19 feet instead of required 25 feet, and total side yards of 53.25 feet instead of required 60 feet. Residence AAA District, south side of Town Line Road, 856.32 feet east of Terry Road, Hop Hop.
How are you? I'm here to translate for them. They just want to do an addition to their.
If you could just give us your name and address, please?
Lina Madrid.
Oh, that's the applicant.
1178 Townland Road.
Okay, and then the translator, if you could give us your name and address too, please?
My name is Luis Morocho, and my address is 1178 Townline Road, Japón.
Thank you.
Amanda Avendaño, 57 Brentwood, Central Life, Brentwood 117. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So
Okay. So is there anything you would like to say to us, or?
¿algo que les quiere decir a ellos?
No.
Okay.
No. All right, we don't feel slighted, that's
Yeah.
okay. We've had worse.
Planning, you have any comments on this, or?
No objections to it. It looks like they're squaring off the front of the house. We're already keeping the fence on there. There should be a large impact.
Okay, and it's all in line with the existing structure?
Yep.
Okay. Any questions?
None for me.
All right, I'll take a motion then.
I'll make a motion that we grant the application.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Application's granted.
Listo. Ya lo agregué. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody has any comments?
Right.
Because we're moving quickly, but we're going to slow down now a little bit.
Yeah, really.
Application number 569-23, Ruth Begley. Permission to erect second-story addition, 18 by 24.3 irregular, leaving side yard of 15 feet instead of required 18 feet. Residence AA District, 278 Cluster, north side of Blue Point Road West, 360 feet west of Waverly Avenue, Holtz Hill.
Hi, Denise Trifaro, 1165 Broadway Avenue, Holbrook, New York, DTT Designs.
Hi, Ruth Begley, 294 Blue Point Road West, Holtzville, New York, 11742.
Thank you.
Good evening. We're here to possibly add a second floor addition onto the house. There is a second floor already, and we're staying within the side yard setback of the existing house, which is currently 13 feet, and we're asking for that instead of the 15 feet required.
What's the distance you're going to be building from the back of the house?
The back of the house there's a second floor there already, so we're popping it forward. Let's see here, let me get the plans out.
No.
So killed.
Really?
Yeah.
Don't knock over the flag.
It's crazy. It's in the middle.
Hey, no, that's okay.
So from the rear of the current house, we'll be going forward 10 feet
Coming back.
from where the front door is.
Okay.
So 10 feet more past that, but we're not going all the way forward for the footprint of the first floor.
That's in the front yard, right?
In the front, correct?
In the front yard. Oh, the front yard.
Oh, I thought it was the back.
Yeah. They don't need a setback on the front. Just on the side, which they're keeping in compliance.
Do we have precedence for this?
There's another grant that was for a side yard of 16.5. It doesn't look like they're keeping the same side yard. They're just
But-
bumping it out in front a little bit.
Do we have precedence for the front? To go
So
out
for the
there?
front, they're not requesting.
No variance.
No variance? They have it? Okay. I'm good. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to be heard on this application? Any other questions from the board? Planning, any comments? besides- No? All right.
Make a motion, we approve the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application's granted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Application number 570-23, Fernando Chiquilin. Permission to leave roofed-over deck having side yard of 1.6 feet instead of required 4 feet, to leave shed/coop on side property line not having required setback of 10 feet, and driveway on side property line not having required setback of 4 feet. Residence A District, south side of 3rd Avenue, 450 feet east of Carlton Avenue, Central Islip.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the
Wait a
board.
while. Where's your daughter?
She had to take the son to the doctor. Otherwise, he won't be admitted in school.
Okay.
We haven't seen you in forever.
Yeah, forever.
I know.
yeah.
You
Oh.
look good. Good to see you.
I live in Florida, so I just,
You look like the Dick Clark of expediters. You don't age.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Edwin Seda of Dynamic Extraditing Services with offices located at 1040 Terry Road, Ronkonkoma, New York, 11779. And we're here today seeking variances for a roof over deck, a shed with a coop attached to it, and the driveway. The driveway has been in current location for over 20 years. Based on the aerials, it seems that driveway was expanded sometime between 2007 and 2010. However, it was always on the property line and expanded further into the property. As far as the roof over the deck, it's grade level. We have given a copy of a photograph to planning board so that you can have a visual. The roof over is attached to the shed and is used to cover outdoor storage. It has been there for about 10 years. The last item is the shed coop on the side property line. The coop is attached to the shed. The shed is about 9 by 6 or 54 square feet. It is a very small plastic shed used for storage. The coop to the attached 6 by 6 shed, we have confirmed with the owner and he's willing to take it down.
So do you want to remove that portion of the application referring to the coop?
Yes, the coop. Yeah, there's no chickens there no more and
Take a motion then to revise
call?
revise the call, I'm sorry, and
Make a motion.
Second, and we're going to strike
the reference to the coop.
no coops. So we're going to strike to leave shed
No,
slash.
leave the coop, the shed, I
We
mean,
want the shed, but not the coop.
yes. Correct, sir?
yes,
Yes,
that's
shed,
correct.
No coop. All right, I'll second that, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so the call of the meeting has been revised, amended, thank you. All right, any questions on the rest of the application?
I'm
No.
good.
Is there anyone else who would like to be heard in this application?
Yes, sir.
Hi, good evening, board. Thank you for hearing me.
Can you just give us your name and address and
Shatina Green,
lift the
9
microphone
3rd
up?
Avenue, Central Islip.
Would you lift the microphone up so we can hear you and you don't have to like bend over?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Shatina Green, 9 3rd Avenue, Central Islip, New York, 11722.
Thank you.
Jimmy Carcio, 9 Avenue, Central Islip, fiance.
Sir, could you spell your last name, please?
CARC.
Can they make that any louder? I can't hear anymore.
It's that damn fan blowing back.
Oh, it's the fan. All right. Would you just yell at us? We'll yell at him.
I would not know. Okay, I'm here to, I guess, defend myself against a lawyer. It's unfortunate that my neighbor wasn't able enough to come and to confront me in front of you guys. So I like to go through the list of things that have been a nuisance for me for many years.
Ma'am, please address us.
Yes, a nuisance. Apologize. The roof over deck is abandoned. It has been for years. I explained to my neighbors a few times There's rodents, there's squirrels living inside the structure. It's not used. It's too close to my property, which I had to get an exterminator this year because there is such an issue. I've tried talking, I've tried texting. We had an issue with the fence for quite some years. I recently got a survey in 2020, which showed that the fence was grossly on my property. I asked them to remove the fence because the fence was dilapidated, ready to fall down. They kept pushing it further to fix the fence. So when I showed them the survey showing the driveway, everything on the property, they agreed to move the driveway. Then they told me if I didn't agree to put a fence with them from the backyard to the front, that they would not move the driveway.
Can I just,
Mhm.
just 1 second?
Sure.
Let's just take one issue at a time.
Okay,
Okay, because-
that's what I'm trying to do.
No, you are, but my brain can't.
Okay, I'm sorry. So that's for the roof
Okay,
deck
so let
that's
me just
close to
ask-
my property, yes.
So we're all on the same roof.
Yes,
This is the roofed over. deck.
yes.
Okay. Whether it's rodent bringing or
Mhm.
it's used or not used, that's not before us. What's only before us is the physical dimensions of it.
Exactly. So the closer to my property, the more of an issue it is for me.
Okay, but what we do is we look if we've granted any similar relief.
Okay,
If we grant it for one,
Mhm.
doesn't mean we necessarily have to grant for everybody. It's what is the nature and character of the neighborhood?
okay.
And that's why we look over to our expert. And is there precedent for that roofed over?
Not the roof of the house. It's attached to a garage, so it's not.
Okay,
It's a bit more unusual. Normally the roof projects are like behind houses and things like that. But this is only 1.4, 1.6 instead of 1.
right. So you're not in favor of it?
No, I don't think it's that big of an issue.
Okay.
It's open. It's
Mhm.
not having another asset right next to it.
Right. So,
Um,
okay. All right, so that's the roofed over. The next thing, now, the next thing you said is the fences,
The fence was removed, the back fence.
okay. Is there
Um,
something else that's still on?
It's the driveway that's over onto my property. The front, I can't put a fence in the front driveway because they built a fence, a driveway, and a post onto the property. So if I was to put my fence in the front yard, it would be moved over more into my property, and then my back fence would be
Okay, let me
more
just
where
say
the property
about
line is.
that.
Mhm.
We have the surveys here.
Yeah, I have my survey, which was more recent than their survey.
Okay,
Mhm.
unless, I can't tell,
Would you like to take a look at my survey?
sure.
Okay.
I can't tell one over the other, but we don't have the power to grant anything if it's over the property line. So you don't have to worry about that. If it's over the property line, we can't grant it. That's expropriation of property. Somebody can't just take your property. So you don't have to worry about that.
Okay,
Nothing that we do, and we'll put that in address that nothing we do here is authorizing it if it is on your property.
okay.
Okay, so that's number 2. What's number 3?
Well, the shed coop, I think they said they would move. If I may say something, the purpose of owning a house and having all of these things done, I would think people need to get permit and permission. When people are not getting permit and permission, here we are running into making the neighbor uncomfortable. And if we're going to just overlook people just doing what they want and appealing it, then, it doesn't make it fair for people who following the rules the right way.
90% of the people here
Mhm.
built something, and now they're coming and asking for relief. I could ask for showing of hands, but nobody's going to put their hand up. We don't
Understand.
penalize you if you build first and ask permission later. You don't get penalized for that, but you do it at your peril. If you build first and don't get permission, and we say no good, you've got to take it down.
But this letter is saying it's no good, right? This letter is saying that they're in violation of 3 things, and we're dismissing that right now. That's how I feel.
Well, what they're seeking is a variance. That's why we have a zoning board.
Okay.
And we grant certain variances.
Mhm.
Like if you you have a piece of property and you need an acre to build, and you have 99% of an acre, you'd say zoning board, give a little compassion. We'd grant it.
Mhm.
You had a third of an acre and everybody else had an acre, we wouldn't grant. So we give variances that are reasonable
Okay.
and not substantial.
Okay.
So you heard from our planning expert that The roofed over is not substantial.
Okay.
The property, as I said, the fence and/or the driveway, that's beyond our control. If it's over, that's their problem. And I forgot what the third thing was.
The chicken coop.
The chicken coop.
Which has been struck.
Oh, they're taking that down.
So whose issue is, who do I speak to the driveway? Like, I talked to the town, I put a complaint in, and they told me to wait because they're going to be going to court anyway. So here I am.
I'm sorry.
For the driveway,
What about the
I
driveway?
spoke to the zoning board,
No, with his own.
With his own board.
but, well, I spoke to upstairs. If, when you go across the street, the building where I was speaking to them about the driveway, they had me speak to someone from the zoning.
Okay, and
Department,
what's the
excuse me.
concern? The driveway is on,
It's on the property.
okay,
It's
we
either-
don't have the power to,
Okay.
we don't have the, we only can, wait, we can only grant variances. We don't have the power to make them move a driveway.
Okay,
What you have to do is you have to bring an action in court.
Only a judge can do that.
Yeah.
no, I understand. So then what was I'm getting a public notice for what? Because I'm telling you that these things are an issue for me as a taxpayer, right? So what am I coming here for? So I'm not understanding.
Shed, the driveway.
And what are we doing about that? Because you're telling me that you guys have no power to do anything, but you're sending me a letter stating if this is an issue that they're seeking variance for, if you can appear.
However, as far
Mhm.
it has to be from his property line. If he's on your property, that, you need a New York State Supreme Court judge.
But
You
you,
don't have the power to do it.
right.
what's the next
So
step?
when you guys sent me a letter, this is the issue that am I right? Public notice?
We're just notifying you of the hearing, man.
That somebody is seeking a variance, and if you oppose it, you can come in and tell us your opposition, which you're doing. That doesn't mean that you automatically win or the other side automatically wins. What the notice does is put you on notice that somebody is seeking a variance. They put what the variance is, and if you object to it, the board will hear your objection, and that's what we're doing.
So with all due respect, I object to everything that this letter is asking a variance for.
We've noted that, understood.
So how do we?
Or what's the bottom line? I
Yeah,
mean,
what do we
we
do?
don't even.
I don't know what the bottom line is. Explain that we said that the porch,
Mhm.
something that we have granted and it's insubstantial.
Okay.
The driveway, we don't have the power to order them to make it move it, only a court.
Then why is it in a letter?
Hang on.
It's just
Hang
letting
on.
me know
And
it's,
then, ma'am.
sorry,
you
I
can't talk over
apologize.
me.
You're-
And the third thing is the coop, they are taking down. They're striking it from the calendar. And if they don't take it down, you'll call public safety and they'll make sure they take it down. What more relief, what is it?
You put
What is
the,
the driveway? What do we do about the?
I said, you have to bring an action in court. You have to, we don't have the power to compel them to move.
Where's the next step? How do we?
You have to go to court. You have to get a lawyer.
so,
Imagine you can do it on your own, but we don't have the power to do what you want us to do.
if I may, so you said they're seeking variance for these three things, right? So are you guys giving them
We don't
It's
know
okay to
yet. We
leave it
have
there?
to, our chairman has to, yes, probably will reserve so we can think about it and discuss it. research
okay,
the
I'm
law.
sorry, I
You look
misunderstood.
at thousands of surveys and photographs, and sometimes, believe it or not, we spend an hour and a half in executive session over somebody's driveway.
And if I may ask, will I be notified? Just like you notified me about this public notice?
I think you said, will you be notified?
I said, would I be notified?
Absolutely.
All
We'll
right,
send you a copy of our, it'll be a written decision, it's filed with the clerk, and it's got the force of law.
okay. Thank you for your time, everyone. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Hold on.
We have to vote. Well,
No. 1 second. Before you leave, can we get a copy of your survey?
Sure, absolutely. And it's filed across the street as well.
we'll give it back if you need it back. We just, since you mentioned it,
It was.
I hope it's the
filed it
same
with
as
the
this
town.
survey.
As soon as I got it, I did file it with the town. I like to keep it. if I may.
Thank you. So this is on your property, which is is that the east? Right? You're 9 Third Avenue?
Yes. And I went to the town because I saw the survey and they confirmed it with me when they like zoomed in on the computer that the property line was way over. So,
Okay, one second, I'm just trying to take a look.
So this is their garage.
This is their garage. Okay. And here's the property line. The fence does encroach, according to your survey.
And that's not your fence, obviously.
No,
Actually, now that you mention it, their survey, using theirs and yours, also shows an encroachment. It does. So we're not approving that, but we don't have the power to make them take it down.
Okay.
So you have to bring a legal proceeding. It's like if somebody breached a contract or somebody ran you over on the way here, we wouldn't have the power to render a judgment. You have to bring an
The
action.
fence isn't before us either.
yeah. I just wasn't sure what court. I went to small claims court and they were telling me that it's only has to be like a financial issue, not anything
Small
else.
claims wouldn't,
Right,
doesn't have jurisdiction.
understand.
You have to go to, as our board member said, you have to go to state supreme, which
To
is our
State
superior.
Supreme Court? Absolutely, no problem.
Do you want your survey back?
No, we want to keep that.
Oh,
Unless you, if it's better for me to leave it with you, I'll leave it with you.
yeah, we'll keep it, but do you have a copy?
I do, I have.
Okay, I just
All
want
right,
to
so
make
we
sure we
can
didn't
keep
take your
this?
only copy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good evening.
Is there anyone else that would like to be heard in this application? Sir, is there anything else you'd like to say?
Do you have pictures?
Please submit it.
Yeah.
I'll take a motion then to reserve.
I'll make a motion to reserve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, the application is reserved.
I don't know, I think your daughter would have done better, but.
Application number 571-23, Jorge Marca, to renew permit for two-family, family use only. Residence A District, west side of Craig Road, 653.55 feet south of Rock Road, Islip Terrace.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Edwin Seda, Dynamic Expediting Services, located at 1040 Terry Road, Ronkonkoma, New York, 11779. To start off on January 10th, a hearing was held for a two-family use only special permit. At that hearing, the decision was reserved. In February 24, the application was granted for a period of 6 months. Since that time, the property owner has finalized its permit process and obtained final CO. The property owner also had an inspection with a code enforcement
Mr.
supervisor.
Sada, why do we only grant 6 months? There's usually a reason why we keep a short leash on it.
Sure. Okay.
Why did we only grant it for 6 months? That's not
I
usual.
think it was a rental issue back then.
You think or you know? I mean, you have to have some notes in your file.
It was a rental issue there.
What was it about the rental issue that we gave it 6 months?
I guess they rented to somebody that was not, shouldn't
Okay,
be there.
I got you. This was a case of the potentially bad tenants, and we wanted to look into it. Okay,
However, everything has been cleared completely.
don't recall what the issue was with the tenants.
I don't know. How many people are living? Who's living there?
The owners now.
Completely owner occupied?
It's on, yeah,
Completely.
completely. Yes, they got everybody out.
Who's the two family then? Who's the other family?
I think it's his mother or his aunt.
So it's
Somebody
related,
is
there's
older
no
than,
outside
yeah.
the family rentals then?
I'm sorry?
There's no outside the family rental?
No outsiders.
All right, just so the record's clear, we have a letter in the file dated July 17th, 2023, of which I'll read part of it. It's the first, second, third, fourth, it's like the fourth paragraph, fifth paragraph that's relevant. Since January of 2023, I have witnessed, and this is a Kevin Schmidt, the occupation of the upstairs apartment by a family of children and adults, not the owner's father. That was the issue.
Right.
That's why, okay. This is clearly a rental apartment, not the use, I'm just reading it directly, not the use the owner was petitioning for. As such, a 3-year permit should not be granted. Next paragraph, the hearing on October 18th, 2022 was attended by my family and 18 other neighbors to protest the original request for approval of this permit. I feel the board was fair. Oh, let me read that again. I feel the board was fair in listening to our objections and the owners requesting granting a 6-month trial permit. The neighbors and I all state our objections to this rental and is a matter of record. Final paragraph, the owner is being used as a 2-family dwelling rental that does not comply with town standards. Okay, and then there is a
Support.
letter in support. Okay, so apparently, at least according to Mr. Schmidt, they have bad things going on there.
Well, since that time, Robin from code enforcement is a supervisor. She's been to the premises. They got their COs, everything was inspected.
Well, the CO, the granting of the, not granting of a CO has nothing to do with how they're using it. That's a separate department. Do we have any record of a town inspection?
Yes, of
What
course.
do we have? Mr. Sater, it causes me concern when, I remember the hearing, the neighbors were pretty irked, as I would be, about what was going on there. We put it over for 6 months, and then we get a letter
Okay.
saying it's continuing. What are we supposed to do? And it was from July.
Well, I would send code enforcement in and find out. But like I said, Robin was there. She's a supervisor with code enforcement.
I don't know what Robin's, I don't know what she was there. You were going to give us something. It's not often that neighbors will complain if there's nothing to complain about. Thank you, Jay. That's got it. No, this is just on the physical structures. This has nothing to do with the use or misuse of it. It talks about the shed, the handrails, the electrical. This has nothing to do with how it's being used. This is just, I don't care that it comports to, I care that it comports to town code, but what prevented this in the first instance was the misuse. This doesn't address that. So, all right.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to say at this time, sir?
No, the only thing I can say, they had clear their violations and code enforcement has been there. The town inspectors have been there. So I don't know what else to give them. I understand their concern. They got these people out by court. I don't know, I don't have the documents to show you, but they got them out. And they live in there themselves with their kids.
Okay. I think we have some other interested parties, so let me hear from them if we could.
Okay, that will be fine.
Anyone else that would like to be heard in this application, if you could please step up one at a time?
Good evening. Steve Rizzo, 77 Craig Road, Islip Terrace. Sure, RIZZO. I submitted a letter to the board that's dated June 13, 2023. Back then, they stated that the owner, his wife, son, and daughter live in the downstairs apartment along with 3
Can you
dogs.
slow down a little bit?
Sure.
I have a feeling you're reading and people go really fast when they read.
Got it. Thank you. The upstairs main portion of the house is occupied by various other individuals, as well as a 4th dog. Although the owner represented at the hearing that his father was the qualifier for the 2-family, family use only, this is definitely not the case. And tonight I'm presenting to the board my statement that nothing has changed since the last hearing. I asked the board to deny the 2-family family use request. You were more than fair in giving the applicant plenty of time to prove himself. He hasn't done that. There's been no movement towards compliance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rizzo. Is there anyone else that would like to be heard on this?
Hello, Terry Lesser, 77 Craig Road.
Could please speak into the microphone?
Okay. LESSER S-E-R. There was a lot of documentation from the last hearing. I have a copy of my letter, if you don't have it in front of you. You might want to just skim that.
We have it.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Dated July 7th?
No, that's current. This is dated October 18th, 2022, from the
Oh,
first hearing.
Yes, we have that.
Do you agree with everything the last gentleman just said?
Mr. Rizzo?
Yes.
Yes, I do. And I have a statement that's similar, but if you bear with me. In response to the town's notification of renewal, I wrote a letter dated July 7th. Those conditions still stand. In short, there has been no compliance with this permit. We were told at the last hearing that the homeowner was moving upstairs to the main dwelling and his father would move to the first floor. For medical reasons, neither happened.
What do you base that on?
What did he base the medical?
So what do you base that when you say neither has happened?
I live adjacent to the home. I've met the homeowner's father. I know his vehicle. He comes to visit. He does not live there. And the second floor of the house is occupied by multiple people. It has been since May of 2021. The first set of tenants that multiple neighbors showed up to object to, they left around August 22. In October of 22, the second set of tenants moved in. So I base that on witnessing these people every single day.
No,
Okay. Where am I? The homeowners, I'm sorry. I may repeat myself. We were told at the last hearing that the homeowner was moving upstairs to the main dwelling and his father would move to the first floor, and neither happened. The homeowner's father does not and never did live there. The homeowner and his family continue to live downstairs with their 3 dogs, entering and exiting the house solely via the side gate and the side door entrance. If you recall from the last hearing, the upstairs level is using the front door of the house. The lower level uses a side door that is directly opposite windows and an air conditioner, which is just a great big hole in the wall, of my house. They removed all sight and sound barriers. I pretty much see and hear every single thing they do. The current tenants moved upstairs in October 2022. They have added a dog to their household, and at least one other person with another vehicle lived upstairs for a significant time during the past 6 months. That was about 3 months. This is admittedly a rental unit. At the last hearing, the expediter at that time said there was a tenant previously on the second floor and that the homeowner had rented the second floor. So we know that it's a rental. This rental was for over a year at that point, and now it's been almost another year that the same situation has continued. And it was that first set of tenants that caused, the police were involved. There were just multiple issues.
Under this section of town code, the owner has to live there, and you're not the second person telling us the owner doesn't live there.
Okay. I'm sorry, what was that? The owner has to live there?
Saying the father,
The father,
right, it's being used for rental,
rental.
not for family.
Not
Oh,
the
I'm
family.
sorry, maybe I used the wrong term. I just meant they were renting space, that it was not a family use dwelling. I think that was my point. The board reserved the initial decision in this matter due to a multitude of neighbor complaints. In response to the issue of trust and being a good neighbor, there was, I don't know if it was you, there was a board member who was pretty hot on this, who you can't say things are just nice and make all the bad stuff go away. And
That
in
sounds like Dan, so.
Okay. In response to that, the expediter herself suggested a conditional approval that, quote, allows him, the homeowner, to do better and to be held accountable, that if he doesn't, then he's not going to get that apartment for 3 years. It could be denied and he would lose it. That's his own expediter saying that, telling him what the deal is. With due respect to the board, renewing a permit that is not and never was in compliance simply renders the exercise of a conditional or temporary permit useless. If the permit is approved and renewed, The same rental situation will likely continue to exist, just as it already has. Perhaps more important, if the permit is approved and renewed, it is a clear signal to every homeowner in the town of Islip that they can ignore any regulation, not be held accountable, and rent at large, regardless of the effect on the neighborhood and the town as a whole. In this light, I ask the board to carefully please consider this consideration. And just a side note, the statement, it's completely owner-occupied, again, is not true. We weren't told it was for a mother or an aunt. This was supposed to be for the father. The gentleman just said there was no outside family rental. There's people coming and going. I don't know who the heck they are. There's other vehicles there. And
I think we
again.
got it. I think
yeah.
we got it.
Okay, thank you.
No.
But if you need to know anything else, let me know.
We'll call you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Is there anyone else that would like to be heard on this application?
Oh, Edwin, you're a little too fast.
It was Gary Mayer, 75 Craig Road, Islip Terrace, MEHR. Okay, he was granted a 6-month permit, all right, because of all the aggravation that we endured over the past year and a half, 2 years, okay? And nothing is going on. And you say that everything is to code, you had inspectors at the house. The last time we had this hearing, they cut the lawn the weekend before the hearing. They towed out 3 abandoned trucks and cars in the driveway. We're dealing with cars in the middle of the night, with drug activities, police involved. He does what he wants to do. He built this monstrous shed on the side of the house where people in our neighbor had to take their shed down because it's too big. He's got a 24-foot shed on the side of his house. He just does what he wants to do and no response for anything. He knows he had a bad neighbor, a bad tenant, and did nothing about it. We don't want this. He's not a responsible individual, not a courteous neighbor. We don't want this, period. And he was granted that 6-month permit for his sick father, which does not live with him. A sick father does not live with him. That's why he was granted that permit.
I'm going to ask you, how do you know that? That's really the issue. The rest of
The
it.
cars are never there. His father has a blue minivan. He's never there.
You're better to put facts in the evidence other than talking. If you say you know what the car is not there, that's something in the record that helps us, okay?
Okay, the car's not, he comes occasionally, all right, but he does not live in a premises.
You know what he looks like, the father? Have you met him?
I've seen him. I know, we're not very social, no social with any of the neighbors. But that's just, it doesn't keep the house nice. Not that, it is what it is, okay? But he doesn't adhere to what he was supposed to adhere to. All right, he just does what he wants to do, and that's it. He says the permits are up to date, the house is inspected. You can have a fire hazard, and in 24 hours, have the house.
We're talking about what's before us. I think you've done a good job. I think the lady before you did a great job. We have to deal with what's before us today.
Okay.
And that's whether it's being used for family purposes or not.
Right, it's not used for family purposes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to be heard in this application?
Good evening. I'm Evelyn Schmidt, SCHMIDT. I can verify that.
Your address, please, Ms. Schmidt?
76 Craig Road.
Thank you.
I can verify that the father does visit. He does not have a nurse that lives there, and he does not live there. He often comes and gardens and helps out the family. He is not ill, and there is another family living there now.
Do you know if they're related to the owners?
I do not know that. I do not think so. But there's a lot of visitors coming and going, so it's hard to tell. And we live across the street. So, we see everything, unfortunately. But I don't think it should be granted.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Janet Casio, COSSIO. I'm 72 Craig Road. I live across the street. I've never seen the father there with the exception of maybe a couple occasions that he went there to visit. All of us would have no problem whatsoever if he came there and had his father live there. Problem is he lives downstairs in a one-bedroom apartment with his family, and he rents up upstairs. There are cars in the driveway as we speak right now. I never see them interact, the people downstairs and upstairs. Again, we have no problem if it was his dad, but all of us have been living in this neighborhood a long time. We have parties, we get together. I had a barbecue, well, a happy hour. 18 houses on my block went. George, Jorge, he has never once spoken to me. I have tried in the past to wave in the beginning. So I'm just letting you know, it's not his family.
Okay, thank you. Is anyone else who would like to be heard on this application? You already
That's not a
spoke, man.
repeat. That's
Yeah,
not a repeat.
Not a repeat.
Not a repeat.
No.
No, we can't. Okay, we get it. We get it. We get it.
Is anyone else that has not yet spoken like to be heard on this application?
Can I just ask one question? One quick question? Only question I want to ask is, do you have to show proof of the person that's living there? That's the thing I would like to know.
That's,
All of us would like to know.
that's a fluid question because what is proof?
Yeah.
What is proof?
Testimony is proof.
All right, that,
Birth certificate?
a certificate of what? I've lived in my home for 21 years. I don't have a certificate that says this is Billy Wexler's home. It's called a deed, but
Well, Mrs.
Oh,
Wexler's home.
Mrs. Wexler, you got it. Thank
You're
you.
a tenant.
Yeah, I'm a tenant.
Is there anyone else who would like to be heard in this application? Sir, do you have anything else? Quickly?
Yes, Mr. Wexler, I'd like to reserve and go and look at it myself, not Roxanne, no, myself, and see what they're saying, because I believe half of what they're saying is, it's lies.
No,
Yeah, so we'll reserve decision and then we'll give time to submit anything else, or?
You leave the record open.
Did you say that there was a letter from Robin Bonson?
No.
Okay. Maybe, you did indicate that the supervisor of code enforcement did say that there were no violations, right?
Yeah, Robin was there, and she's been with the town forever. She's code enforcement, and I'm pretty sure she cleared everything. That's how we got a CO, otherwise we would have never got it.
So there's probably a report that
Yes,
corresponds
she
with
has a
that.
report, yes, that's why I said if we can reserve it, I can investigate a little more myself and go over there. And I had a case before you, years ago. That guy had 9 kids, and they all had a car, so they were kept pointing at
That's
his
not the
driveway.
situation.
But what is, yeah,
You
what is,
never argued that's the situation, so.
what is it that, let's say you go and look, and again, you're not a neutral arbiter. We're neutral. You're representing somebody. You're getting paid to represent somebody. So you're going to send us a letter saying, "Dear Mr. Chairman and Board, I viewed this and it all looks kosher," or
Well,
words to that effect.
first of all,
What does
like-
that, wait, what
Sorry,
does that, wait? What does that mean to us?
well, I
We
will
had
take
6
pictures,
people come up.
find out from other people, get pictures, do everything that we have to do. And if
Okay, so
they,
we
you know me for many
I'm ready.
years, if I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong. I
No,
don't
but
care.
I can't base this on your veracity. I have to base it on the situation at hand. And this is a repeat of 6 months ago. We have the same people coming back saying the same thing. I don't think it's fair to them for us to just put this off to Byzantium and pretend it's not happening. We've had 6 people give us testimony. And quite frankly, I find them believable. So I don't know what it is you could say. Suppose you
like I
sent us a
said-
letter saying, "I investigated it," and it says, "I think it's perfect."
Well, I will ask code enforcement to go up there with,
But, all right, I don't want to keep this open
If we
forever.
reserve
I want-
decision, if we give you 2 weeks to submit a letter, you can do that?
yes,
We're gonna reserve, we're gonna give you 2 weeks, your 62 days won't start until after that 2 weeks, okay?
okay, thank you.
All right, so we'll take a motion then. Is anyone else? We got everybody?
Oh,
Hold on.
wait, we don't take requests from the audience like that.
Sir, would you like to speak or not? No, no.
We're giving him 2 weeks to submit whatever evidence he has
Wait,
to
wait,
submit.
do you
Let him
have-
give his name and address.
Can you
first.
give us your name, please?
Kevin Schmidt, 76 Craig Road, Islip Terrace.
Thank you, Mr.
The last time we were here was in October.
Okay,
We weren't included in January. You gave a 6-month permission, right? Started in January, went to August. It shouldn't take 2 weeks now. You've given 6 months already.
Sir, we're going to reserve decision. we're giving the applicant 2 weeks to submit something, but we're going to reserve decision, and when we get that
It
paperwork.
is a permit for what? It's for a family use only, correct?
Yep.
A single-family house, a single-family town, a single-family neighborhood.
Yes.
That's what we're requesting. Within, there's scope within there, there is a need for care of a family member, of course, do that, right? This is still single-family. And what we're talking about now is renters. We've been talking about that for a year now. We're still talking about renters. We're not talking about family use.
We have 62 days to make a decision.
Okay.
We're giving him 2 weeks of that 62 days to submit what he wants before we make a decision. So that's what we're.
To see if it's
Not
fam-
granting them anything.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm doing your job.
Does anybody have any reason to believe that money is exchanging hands? You've said tenants and renters. You think that the applicant, you know that the applicant's accepting rent from some of the, that's my question to you.
Somebody wrote a letter. Oh, this was.
Good question.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman.
okay.
Yeah. All right.
Yep, thank you.
All right, take a motion then to reserve.
I'll make a motion that we reserve decision.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so the application's been reserved. So with,
Within
When-
62 days of today.
no, 62 days of the submission,
2 weeks. So 62 days plus 2 weeks.
76.
76 days. Yeah. $76.
Yeah.
That's.
I would marry us. We just
Can you flip your mic off?
They were kind of cute.
We're back in session.
Application number 572-23, Eaton Simpson and Mendel Raphael. Permission to leave pavilion 25.5 by 43.5, having side yard of 6.7 feet instead of required 10 feet, and floor area ratio of 26.7% instead of permitted 25%. Residence A District, north side of West Lakeland Street, 150 feet west of Duke Street, Bay Shore.
Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and the board.
Please
My name-
pick up the
God, the
microphone and
audio is
speak into the microphone.
horrible, isn't it?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and the board. My name is Eaton Simpson. This is Mendel. We both reside at 27 West Lakeland Street.
Good afternoon. My name is Mendel Raphael. I'm here today for a canopy / patio that we have, and we want to leave it because we don't have no tree. We don't have no shade in the back of the house. You can see the backyard. I did my best to make it nice the last time I was here for the pool. So I'm just doing a little something to the back so I can have some shade if I want to sit in the back so I can enjoy the wind. And that's most likely why we're here today. And then the back Two, I use it to pray because I'm a very spiritual person. So I don't have no tree. If I had tree, I would have prayed underneath of the tree, like to enjoy the weather. So that's most likely why I had it.
Is there a reason why you need such a big tent back there?
For the I sit there and then when it's hot, enjoy the weather, and because I don't have no tree, no shade in the back, and then I use it too for spiritual. Like I pray a lot. I sit there and pray, and that's why I do it all the way to the back, so that way I can be very quiet and it's metal, and then the fabric is a fabric. It's a plastic fabric that's on top. No aluminum. No, it cannot take out by pieces. It just there's a fabric plastic. It's like an umbrella. It's a plastic that's on top of it.
My concern is that if it's over 500 feet, it's got to be 10 feet from the property line.
Yes.
We have allowed 525, 550 square feet, 600 on a good day. I'm trying to do the math in my head. This is 43 by 25. This looks like it's in excess of 1,000 square feet. That's my concern. It's awfully big.
Yeah, this.
It's open, but
Yeah, it's very open. You can see through. There's nothing that's
I'm saying it twice, but it's overlapped. And if you were here when I gave the example, if you have 99% of an acre instead of a full acre, okay. When it becomes substantial, it becomes a problem. When it's twice what's permitted, it's problematic.
But when I went to
1,000, yeah, 1,109. 1,109 square feet per hour. Is it? Yeah. That's the problem. 1,109 square feet and the code allows 500. That's substantial.
yes, because when I get the letter, it was more about 10 feet from the property, from the fence, and 26.
Triggered by the signs.
Oh, okay.
It's got to be 10 feet back. If it's 499, you wouldn't need to be here. Once it's 500, you have to come. And then we have to see, is it substantial? Like I said before, it's a 510, 530, 550, it's 1,109.
Also, how did you wind up here? Did you get summonses for this, or how did this get here?
I have the construction guy that built it for me.
What?
The construction guy that's built it for me.
I'm wondering how you wound up in front of us. What made you come here? Did you get summonses?
I'm just coming to see if I.
Close a permit for the pool?
Yeah, the pool, I already get the permit for the pool. I'm just coming here for the patio today.
Who told you you needed to come?
The guy who constructed it told you you needed a variance?
Yeah, the reason I'm here is because I didn't want to leave it in the backyard without a permit. So I went to the town and showed the picture and then show everything to get the permit done. That's why once this size wasn't appropriate, the 10 feet from the fence, and it was 26, and you guys only approved 25 FR or PH. I will be happy to do it, but I will. Yes.
Move it 4 feet, so it's 10 feet from the property. Is that something you can do?
No, it's true. The town required 10 feet from the property, but it's 7 feet
I know what the town requires. Can you move it to 10 feet from the property?
to make it more in my and
10 feet from the property line.
yes,
Okay. That's what you're gonna do.
yes, I can grant it.
I got a picture of the backyard, right?
Yes, that's the backyard.
When was all of this built?
I like the whole backyard. That take me 3 months to make the backyard nice because I'm planning to adopt a daughter. So I'm trying to get everything done ready for her when I have her.
When was the picture taken? I think that's what they're
Oh, this picture take by July 1st. I went to the roof and take the picture so you guys can see everything clearly. Yep.
You're okay then to move it 4 feet more, so that it's 10 feet off the property line?
Yes, if
10 feet off the property line, you can keep it there.
yes, I will do it because I have. Because now it's 7 feet, so I have to remove it
4 feet.
4 feet. Thank you.
And make sure you measure from the property line, not the fence. I mean, it looks like the fence is the property line. Fence is not the property line. Right? You don't want to have to come back here to draw like 3 inches.
Not 3. I will move it more than 3 feet because if I knew it was 10 feet, I would have make the guy do it. Yeah. Because I have a big.
What you want to do is when you move it like 10 feet, 3 inches this way, because you're going to use the property line. And your fence may not be on the property. So if you
Okay.
give yourself a little extra, you'll have to come back here. You don't want to move the second one.
Yes. Thank you.
Anyone else like to be heard in this application? Been approved.
Thank you.
Application number 573-23, Ana Ramirez, permission to erect one-story addition, 9.72 by 32.52, leaving front yard of 17.72 feet instead of required 25 feet, and side yard of 12.2 feet instead of required 14 feet. Residence B District, southwest corner of Evergreen Avenue and Applegate Drive, Central Islip.
Good evening. My name is Ana Ramirez, 76 Applegate Drive, Central Islip.
Okay, so.
We have.
Yeah, there's too many. Yeah.
There's side yards of 6 feet, side yards of 12 feet.
Yeah, there's
There's
too
an
many.
open porch that has a front yard of 19 feet. I think the space of, or no, it's more than side.
Oh.
It's only at a point, so I think that's why.
It's only at the northern point.
Yeah, that's the closest.
This-
So you're okay with?
Anyone else like to be heard in this application? Second. All in favor?
Thank you.
Application number 574-23, Jacqueline Scahan, permission to leave 5-foot fence on property line not having a required setback of 10 feet and driveway having front yard occupancy of 44% instead of permitted 40%. Residence A District, northeast corner of Patchogue Avenue and Timber Point Road, East Islip.
Good evening. My name is Jacqueline Scahan. That's my husband, Michael. We live at 67 Patchogue Avenue, East Islip. And I'm asking for permission to leave the fence where it is. I had contacted the town, and they said it was okay if it was a see-through fence. I don't know. It was miscommunication, I think. And then I had a surveyor, and I had the fence company come, and that's where they put the fence.
Not really. Big property.
Okay. Notice it's
Yeah, yep, big size.
On the front yard occupancy,
for the driveway.
Oh, for the
For
driveway?
the driveway. You talking about the driveway?
The driveway? The front yard? So you're saying to cut off 2%?
How do you do that? Because it's a circular driveway.
Which is well needed because it's an angle on that. If you look at the way the streets are set up, you can't get out that one side. You can't get out the one
You
side.
can't just go out the
Very
one
dangerous.
side.
It's on an angle. Okay. We'll find it.
How do you find 22%?
Gotta cut something off.
It's a little bit more, a little bit more movement? Oh, no, I thought they actually changed.
it's not chain link in this one.
No, it's aluminum,
It's see-through.
see-through fence. We were told it was all right.
Yeah, it's like way in from the road.
State style, so we live on an estate, you know that?
I wish.
So that fence is referred to as state style or wrought iron style. I like a state style better because it's really not wrought iron. So what is wrought iron style? So
What have we done? I don't think we've had many state style fence applications.
I can remember one a long time ago, a 5-foot chain link that was granted because it was chain link, because it was open and visible.
Yeah, I think
It's more than a chain link, but what the code does with fences is it allows additional height if no more than 15% is opaque. And what they're going for there is some visibility.
Yeah, all right.
So this is really, if the board feels that has visibility through it.
Looks like it has a lot of it. Can you
Oh,
see?
Plenty.
Oh,
You
yeah,
can see the
no,
street
yeah.
and everything, turning and everything.
I didn't think you'd say no. You forgot.
No, I called the town.
Differentiating Mary's.
What was he, what was he, what was it about an interested party you were talking about?
I don't know.
Is there anyone else that would like to be heard in this application? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, you're gonna amend the call to 42%?
Or just
Yeah.
deny
Yeah,
it.
it's denied.
submit it.
Yeah. East Islip.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion that we deny someone the application seeking a front yard of 44% and instead grant 42% and grant the remainder of the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So if we get down to the 42%, will we get a call town to come out and inspect it? Is that the way it's gotta work?
That's what's getting approved. It's getting approved down to
Approval
42%.
down, So we'll shorten it up.
But you're in compliance because we gave you the variance, so unless you need an approval for
He needs,
something,
yeah, he needs to knock it down to 42.
Yeah, they take off 2%.
All right.
be in
The
compliance.
town will inspect.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, ready, everybody? Application number 575-23, Mariella Ventimilla and Francisco Ventimilla Ottavallo. Permission to establish accessory apartment pursuant to Islip Town Code Section 68-601, and to leave pond having rear yard of 1.65 feet instead of required 4 feet. Residence A District, northeast corner of Abbott Place and Hyman Avenue, Bay Shore.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, Mr. Chairman. My name is Angel Aponte, Aponte. I reside at 1330 Washington Avenue, Bayshore, New York, 11706. I'm here for Mariela Ventamilla and her husband, Francisco Ventamilla. Do you have any questions, or I can just kind of go through it?
Yes, you're offering to go through it. Please tell us the square.
Sure. So we have, the accessory apartment is proposed after, unfortunately, a stop work order in the existing garage, two-car garage that was with the house. So they want to convert that and turn that into accessory apartment. I don't have the square footage with me. It was like 805, it's just slightly over.
Oh, that's significant though, because that's not advertised, so.
Was it? I forget the number. I'm sorry. I forget the number, what it was, but it's just a two-car garage, so no, definitely not 805. Simple garage is like 220, so it's maybe 400 or 500 square feet. Yeah.
We need to know the.
Okay, so the denial says it's 505 square feet.
Yes, I'm sorry. It's a two-car garage. It's simple two-car garage, nothing regular, out of the ordinary with that one. No, it originally was a two-car garage, it's being converted to an accessory apartment.
No, you're right, it's not, no And as far as engineering is concerned, engineering mentioned that some saw cutting is required in front of the driveway.
So the street portion has already been fixed. Town of Islip actually paved the whole entire street there. And the sidewalk portion, they have already fixed all the divots and things that needed to be corrected with that.
That all happened after engineering's review, which was on June 5 of 2020.
Yes, ma'am. The concrete driveway was actually about a week and a half ago, something like that, so.
Okay, so then the apartment size complies and the driveway will meet engineering specifications.
Mhm. So regarding the pond, it was there when the homeowners purchased the house November or December of 2022. She just recently cleaned it and put new koi in there. So she'd like to keep it, but she was unaware about the one, I think it's just shy of 2 feet from the property line. So there's a previous owner that had put it in there. She originally had cleaned it out. Unfortunately, you're not supposed to clean koi ponds like that. You're supposed to do it in a certain way. And when she put fresh water in there, it killed the koi that was there. So she cleaned it out, she did it right, put new koi, and she's at this point, she wants to keep it. I told her what the law was. I said we'd talk about it because it's going to come up, but there really is, it's up to the board.
Anyone else would like to be heard in this application? Anybody?
Kimberly Unger, 655 Hyman Avenue, UNGER, sorry about that.
Husband, Ken Unger.
I'm Kimberly Unger, like Felix Unger, UNGER. Yes, we've heard that they want to put this apartment in. These are front to back splits. They're not meant to be. It's not even a two-car garage. It's a garage and a half, maybe. It's not made for an apartment. I don't feel that having additional space in that home, the home already has some variances, some permits because of extensions up top and some work that was already done. Yes, that's great. That's for the home and the family that is going to live there. There should not be additional folks living in that house. That's not the neighborhood, that's not the home that's built for that style of house. It should not be allowed.
Just like to put in my 2 cents. It is the bus stop. We're worried about extra cars, extra people. Unfortunately, the way this neighborhood is, it's a very quiet neighborhood. This is not the quiet house. I think there's multiple people living in there as we speak. I mean, there's always 20 people in there. The stereo is louder than loud all day long. Multiple dogs barking all day long. We all live in a quiet neighborhood. We want to sit in our backyard and be able to relax by my pool and not hear everybody. It sounds like I live in a stadium. This is not the Islip I grew up in. I mean, I've lived here all my life. We've always lived in Islip. I don't want to live in the auditorium where I hear a million people. And this property is a very small property. We all live close. Our whole neighborhood is here. We're not the first person that's going to complain about it, but I don't want to live in a stadium where I can't even have a cup of coffee in my backyard without a stereo blast or a dog barking all day long. We've all said something to these neighbors that, hey, can you just please be a little considerate? That's all we want. Be considerate. Now you're going to add another family on top of that? It's like literally Jones Beach Stadium. We don't want multiple people living. It's just too loud. That's our beef. The pond, I'm sure nobody really cares about the pond. You know, it's the apartment. We don't want, hey, it's a little tiny little thing. You can put multiple people and more cars. As I said, it is the school bus stop. We don't really want it on, you know, it's a lot of little kids. So thank you.
Anyone else would like to be heard of this application? Come on up.
Evening, John Furno, 33 Abbott Place, last name Furno, my wife Karen. We feel the same way as the Youngers do. We were ever notified that there was an apartment being built, and now we see that it's already done. They put a driveway on a side street and opened up the fence on Hyman Avenue. So I don't know if there's going to be more cars parked on that side. Like Kenny had stated, it is a bus stop. If there was a stop work order to build the apartment, how did this go through? He had stated before that there was a stop work order, but yet the apartment is built. We were never notified of an apartment being built. There was no public notice coming out. And now we're here tonight about a pond.
Notified because they didn't obtain a permit.
Okay,
And when code enforcement found about it, they issued town attorney's office, they issued a stop work. And that triggered them to come here.
okay. So how does it stand as we stay here now? Is this apartment approved or not? Not yet? Okay. I hear you, I understand.
I said, we get paid to think. We have to think about it. We don't know. He said, what are we going to do?
I turned the microphone.
Okay, that's all I got.
We
Thank
don't
you.
know.
Thank you for your time.
Anyone else that would like to be heard in this application?
Good evening. My name is Claudia Geyer. I live at 652 Hyman Avenue, Bay Shore, New York. Geier. The noise coming from the home is ridiculous. Ridiculous. I have to yell out my kitchen window after 2 hours of their dog barking. Please bring your dog in. I'm thinking of getting a dog whistle. You know, we all want to sit in our backyards. We all want to relax. We all pay a lot of money to live on Long Island. Everybody has to be courteous to our neighbors.
Have you
And
ever
we're
called
not getting
code-
that feeling.
You ever called code enforcement and?
I have called Suffolk County Water Authority on another incident.
Okay.
An incident that could potentially harm my neighbors. Suffolk County Water Authority had to be called. And my husband went out and told them, that's illegal to do that. Went right ahead and did it. Right ahead and did it. We all have to live together and we all have to get along. And you cannot just decide what you want to do and do it. Now, on a 500 square foot dwelling, how many people can live in it? What are the guidelines? Mother-daughter, mother-child, husband-wife? Day workers? How many people can live in a 500 square foot dwelling? Do you have that answer, gentlemen, ladies?
Probably ladies, more likely two gentlemen. I think it's about.
Oh, two, two adults.
No, no, no.
I think
Please
New York
listen
State
to her.
Building Code says it's at 110 square foot per person.
110. So on a,
I'm not kidding you, no. I mean, in New York City, the minimum apartment size is like 200.
but we're not,
All right, wait,
Well, I know we're not in New York City, but I'm telling you about New York.
Mary, stop. It's this woman's turn. We don't need it from the audience. You had your turn.
well, they feel the same.
Okay, but
They
then
wanna
Come up and
we
speak,
have to
ma'am.
hold an orderly meeting.
Okay.
It's not
okay.
just
I
yelling
understand
out.
that. I understand that. Well, what is the law?
She's trying to tell you.
I'm taking a guess. It's 110 to 150, I think. Something like that per person.
Per person. So on a 500 square foot, you can make a one bedroom, a two bedroom, a studio?
The state law determines the square footage. That's not something we deal with. It's a different department.
Well,
We
if you're
don't,
gonna-
we don't
if you're
deal with
gonna-
that, so we have to move on. We don't deal with how many people can live. We deal with variances. That's a separate part of the town.
Another government
Just like we
agency
don't
would
get
answer
to
that
set
question.
Your taxes. We don't get to set a lot of things. We have no jurisdiction. We would be acting illegally. and We try not to do
Town
that.
code talks to accessory apartments, which you decide whether it's rented or not. That's basically what
So where do I go from here to find out the amount of people that can be in a 500 square foot dwelling in New York State?
we're in there now. Are we speculating as to what's going to happen?
No, I don't know. And it's a question I really want answered. Can we
I
put three
think that we
people in that
Can't give you
square?
an answer
We
on that.
don't have the answer. I think what Ms. Pizarro told you is it's her belief. And again, this is not in our wheelhouse.
Okay,
It's between 110 and 150 square feet per person. So that would be 3 people theoretically would be able to live there. Maybe
And,
3 and somebody who's very young.
and on an accessory apartment, does it have to be a family member?
No.
No, so it could be anybody can go in there. Okay,
And the floor plan before us shows a one-bedroom apartment.
so it's a one bedroom already.
No,
That's
a
what the-
floor plan is a plan, just what it sounds like. It's a plan.
Okay.
I'm not saying, I don't know whether it's there or not. I just know that it's a floor plan.
Now, what do we do with parking?
They're subject to the town engineering department, which has.
And what's their view on that now? How many people can rent it if there's
It's
cars?
approved for capacity. It can fit 4 cars.
4? Oh, the driveway can.
Right.
So 2 for the family, 2 for the homeowner, and then 2 for the 500 square foot dwelling if it's a husband and wife?
Just 4. We don't delineate whether it's for the main dwelling or the apartment.
Well, if somebody is renting that apartment, do they, I'm sorry,
I don't know, ma'am.
another question. If they're renting that apartment, do they park in the street or do they park in a driveway?
Is it legal to park in the street? They can park in the street. It's not.
So it is legal for them to
If it's
park in the
legal to
street?
park Where you live in the street, they can park in the street. I mean, I don't know what we would be able to do about that. If a car is legally parked, it's legally parked.
Well, if it's a legal, yes, but if it's a legal apartment and the driveway has access for 4 vehicles, one should at least be on the driveway.
Ma'am, is there anything besides the parking that you have?
Well, this is part of the apartment. This is part of all of it. Thank you for your time.
Oh, boy.
Is there anyone else that would like to be heard in this?
Hi, good evening. Melissa Ippolito, IPPOLITO. I reside at 651 Hyman Avenue. Well, to start, all of us, our neighbors, I lived in my house since 2014, and we have a really great neighborhood. We're, quiet, but we're all very close, and just like some of the previous cases that I guess before here. So this is a hearing, and we want you guys to hear us. Regarding the pond, I would say, and I live right next to the homeowners, if they're going to do this the right way, then it needs to be done right, and the pond would need to go. Secondly, my son, who is 5 years old. I know a lot of our other neighbors, they've used the same bus stop that my son tomorrow will be at tomorrow morning, which is at the corner of Abbott and Hyman. So that is literally the corner of where the homeowner lives. He is 5 years old. There has already been other commercial vehicles parked outside of the home. Again, this is for my son. He goes to Fifth Avenue School and he starts tomorrow morning, but here I am right now concerned about this. There are other neighbors who have little children who will be using that bus stop in the future. And there's also neighbors here that have previously used that bus stop. So that is my biggest concern about the traffic that is going to be there with the new apartment that we were all unaware that was even happening. And from what I understand, it says for permission to build the apartment, but from our understanding now and what we've seen already, it's already built. This is not a 2-car garage. It is 1 garage and a half. So, I mean, it just doesn't really make sense. But that is all that I really have to say.
Thank you.
Is safety.
Anyone else who would like to be heard in this application? Yes or no, folks?
Well, unless they
Listen,
stand
if they
up.
come up, they can speak. If they don't come up, they can't speak.
Hi, I'm Jeannie Darbyshire, Darbyshyre. We live at 42 Abbott Place. We live across the street from them. They definitely already built their apartment. We already know there's other people living there besides the family of the, I guess, the wife and the husband and their 2 kids, and there's 2 other people who live there already. And as for the driveway is, if you look at it, it's for 2 cars. I know it says you're saying 4, but it's a much smaller piece of property. It's not deep enough, so the sidewalk runs right through. So
It
there's
has
only
to
2
meet
cars.
engineering standards.
Right. We're not going to argue with the engineers.
All right. Well, I'm not talking about the engineer. I'm just saying, though, that's what it is. So that's what we know already. And it is a little loud, to be honest with you. We will have to agree with that also.
How do you know there were other people living there?
Because we see them walk through the backyard. In the morning, we see them come out because we wake up early. My husband goes to work early and he waits out there for somebody to pick him up. And then at night, they get dropped off and 2 of them go in the back behind the fence. So that's what we know. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Anyone else who would like to be heard in this application?
Everybody.
One at a time here, folks.
Oh, boy.
I live at 38 Abbott,
Your name, please?
Montemali, Giuseppe Montemali. Montemle. And every morning, I see a pickup truck picking up 2 guys.
Okay.
Every morning when I go to work. And then you got these dogs that get crazy all day long. I don't think it should be another apartment. I don't want to see 10 people come out of there every morning. I've been living there 30 years.
Thank you, sir.
Hi. Last name is Neher, Niehr, Sandra Bryan. We live at 37 Abbott Place, across the street. The noise is, like everyone said, crazy. The dogs, the music. You know, we live in a peaceful neighborhood. We want peace and quiet, and we don't want what's going on there now, and we don't want it to get worse. So that's our beef, you know. If they were respectful to us, you know, we would be respectful to them. We haven't said anything yet, but the dogs are a nuisance. There's 3 of them. There's also this music playing nonstop, blasting at I don't know how many decibels, and it's really not fair. It's really not fair to us. Well, we don't think that the neighborhood warrants an apartment, an accessory apartment, so we're totally against it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else like to be heard in this application?
Hello, I'm Georgette Walker. I live at 653 Hyman. LKER, yeah, basic. I just kind of second all of their
Everything they said you agree with.
Yeah, but I do have a 3.5-year-old who's going to be at that bus stop, a 4-month-old who's going to be, and their dogs did get out a lot. They do get out sometimes when the gates are left open because the kids are coming and going. And my son is little. He can get bit by these dogs. You know, he doesn't necessarily understand fully to not run after a dog that's running. So it's just kind of dangerous for him if he's in there. And I'd like to know that when he goes to the bus stop, if it's my parents dropping him off or like bringing him there or whoever, that it's people in the neighborhood, not a different tenant or different person at any amount of time. So
Thank you.
I agree. I don't really want to see it.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Good evening. Lorraine DeSantis, DeSantis. I'm at 656 Hyman Avenue. I'm here with the rest of our neighbors. First of all, I didn't know that we were allowed to have apartments. I thought maybe a mother-daughter, a father-son, having a legal apartment. I've never heard of this in the town, in our neighborhood anyway.
It has been town-wide since,
May of 1992.
Oh, I did not, I'm sorry, I did not know that. The thing is that traffic coming down there is a driveway now on Hyman Avenue as well as on Abbott. What is the purpose of the driveway on Hyman Avenue other than to pull more cars back there? The noise that's been coming from the house is the music blasting on Sundays, especially from 10 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night.
do you ever call code enforcement?
No, I have not.
Okay.
Some of the neighbors have.
Why haven't, I'm just out of curiosity, because we hear this, we're here every Tuesday almost, and
Okay.
I don't know, me, almost 15
Well, then we're
years.
going to have to start
Why
calling.
why haven't, I'm sorry, ma'am, I couldn't hear you.
I'm sorry. No, I haven't called because I don't want to be that neighbor right now that's starting to call, but the dog's barking, now we're going to have to start calling because,
Absolutely.
and now to put more people in that house, in a garage that's, like she said, it's only a 1.5 car garage. Where is all this traffic? Are they going to be pulling into the driveway in the back of the house or now in the front of the house? We really don't need another bunch of people living in that house that's there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else that would like to be heard? Yeah. Real short, sir.
I'm,
Oh, I'm sorry.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Yes, yes. I'm sorry.
So
We'd
I,
appreciate it.
Yeah.
I just want to side with the neighbors here. Everything that you guys are saying, okay, I want to side with them because if I live also in the town of Islip, as I mentioned before, I live in Bay Shore and I wouldn't want that in my yard. But to the defense of these owners, I have to say, they mentioned a bunch of the dogs. I think one lady said 3 dogs. There's like a Yorkie and a Yitzu or something. Yeah. If it has any value to your determination, these dogs are this big. They weigh about 3 pounds. Yeah.
You have anecdotal knowledge. You haven't lived across the street for 20 years. So what you're going to tell us is as an expediter, you may have been to the house once.
Yeah.
You don't have any real knowledge of what's going on.
Okay. Fair comment. I'd like to comment on the other things. From what I understand, and they might be able to say something else about it, but the owner before this was a decorated police officer that lived in this house, who's the one who did the addition on the second floor. The side, oh, okay, that's what I was told. That's what I was told. The second,
Folks, you can't do that. We wouldn't allow him to interrupt you. So it's got to be the same. We must be fair. Understood? Thank you.
so whether it was a police officer or not, the side yard on the side yard driveway that they're calling, super old at Connor Creek. I have a survey from before, or I should say when the owners bought the house, which shows the driveway there, which means they didn't do it, and it's an old concrete driveway. That's where the, I know, but they mentioned so many things that, of course, if there's opposition to my accessory apartment because of these things, there's a higher chance of it getting denied.
What they, No, what they talked about is not courteous neighbors, loud music, even on a Sunday.
Right.
The dogs, they don't want the extra traffic and the loud noise that they hear continuously. So we got it. All right, folks, you can't, no, ma'am, you're not going to talk over us. You will not talk over us. You're not helping you, ma'am.
You're not helping.
Ma'am,
Ma'am, would you like to leave?
that's the next thing. You'll have to be escorted out. You just can't take over. We run the board. Yes?
Yes, you do.
Thank you.
I also like to mention that the apartment is absolutely not constructed, and the board has, I think it was Friday, I submitted Friday, because Joanne asked me, she emailed me. I sent fresh pictures of what actually, no, that was the outside, I'm sorry. But my pictures of the interior of where the apartment's gonna be is studs. That's where they got caught. They haven't touched a nail. And so if you know of somebody that can live in those conditions, please let me know, but it's just studs. There's no kitchen, there's no bathroom, there's nothing in there. All that stuff, according to the plans that have been submitted to the building department, have to be ripped out and built correctly to New York State code, insulation included, because it's not there right now. I can't comment about people going around the back. The issue with parking, there's allowed to be 4 off-street parking spaces, and that's all there's going to be there. Physically, you can fit the 4 cars. Regarding the noise, I respectfully ask that if it was that much of an issue, that there be a decibel test to tell. The last time I was there was Friday when I took pictures of the outside, and I did notice the
Gotta move
music.
on. Hang on. No. When I speak, you can't talk over me.
I did.
Now you're doing it. We're not talking about decibel tests, okay? Stop. Is there anything else you need to tell us?
That is it, sir.
Thank you.
All right. We'll take a motion to reserve then.
I'll make a motion to reserve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, application's been reserved.
Are they coming or should I? Okay.
No, go ahead. No, I'm not, we're not.
We have to talk about it, do our work.
Application number 576-23, Ariel Lorenzo and Evelyn Mendez. Permission to leave detached garage 21 by 24.5,
Yeah.
having side yard of 4.4 feet and rear yard of 3.5 feet instead of required 10 feet each. Accessory structure with roof over, having rear yard setback of 2 feet instead of required 4 feet. Patio on rear property line not having a required setback of 4 feet. 4-foot chain link fence in driveway site triangles, and driveway having side yard of 0.06 feet instead of required 4 feet. Residence B District, north side of St. Peter's Drive, 450 feet east of Dillmont Street, Brentwood.
Good evening. My name is Javier Lorenzo, 74 St. Peter Drive, Brentwood, New York, 11117.
My name is Robert Feliciano, 38 New Hampshire Avenue in Bay Shore, and I'm just an interpreter because there is a bit of a language barrier. Wants to make sure that the message gets across correctly and that he's understanding what you're saying. Feliciano.
Que nunca fue mi intención hacerlo algo fuera de la ley. Y pues, he estado haciendo los permisos desde el principio, tratando de hacer todo legal. Pues, y eso.
So he wants you to say, thank you for listening and giving him a chance to explain. In this particular case, he actually had a permit, and it was never his intention to do anything outside of town code.
What was that permit for?
This is to build the garage that's in question.
And what did the permit give us the size permitted on the permit?
So if I can just summarize that, because he's already
You just
explained
give
this
us
to
the
me.
dimensions.
I don't know exactly the dimensions. So the dimensions that he built,
No, we want to know what the dimensions in the permit.
yes, so,
You have the permit?
so
You have the permit there?
no, he doesn't have the original permit. He only has this one. So what happened was that
What does that say on it?
this is the permit number.
Put in the window?
You want to take a look at it?
Does it, could you hand it up,
Yeah,
please?
sure.
We'll give it back. Need it.
So what happened,
Hold on one second.
sure.
All right.
So what happened was that he built the garage and the foundation as per the permit, but then what put it over the top was that when they came back and they measured, the siding on the actual structure moved it past the 500 square feet. So the foundation size,
Okay, all right, it's 14.5 square feet over. All right. Yeah, all right, that's not earth shaking. Okay, what's next?
the next piece is the next piece was the 2-foot overhang
Yep,
on.
see that?
So he actually thought that they were spot on because it was between his neighbor and himself that installed the fence. And they never thought there was anything wrong with the fence line.
It's the only thing that's a problem here is the Cytron. Hang on just a second, please. Okay.
Dimensional request.
Okay.
It's not that use variance.
Okay,
Review, convenience.
okay,
I think it was an original bill meeting.
okay, thank you. No, she said it's not, right, it's not a site. So this is really what's here. Okay.
Oh, this is that, okay.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Is there anyone else who would like to be heard in this application?
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Planning, you have any comments on this? No? All right. Take a motion then on the Brentwood.
I'll make a motion to grant the application.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application's granted.
Thank you very much.
Good luck. Tell him.
The permit?
Tell me it's been granted.
By the way, that's the trust permit, so there should be a corresponding one that says garage.
Okay, thank you. He's got both of them.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Have a good
Okay.
night.
Good luck. 80. Conservation theater.
Okay.
This guy go to school.
Guys got all rattled.
Oh,
All rattled.
I only know Lutheran.
Application number 577-23, Our Lady of Consolation Geriatric Care Center. Permission to install 2 institutional facial signs where only one is permitted, having sign area of 11.1 square feet and 39.32 square feet instead of permitted 16 square feet each. Height of 27 feet instead of permitted, 16, oh my goodness. Height of 27 feet instead of permitted 12 feet each. To install ground sign having combined sign area of 24 square feet instead of permitted 16 square feet on front property line, not having a required setback of 7.1 feet. General Service C District, west side of Beach Drive, 1,807 feet south of Montauk Highway, West Islip.
Good evening.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Dean Kutsubis. I'm the expediter here on behalf of Catholic Health Services. We're here seeking variances. There's a total of 3 signs which are proposed on this building, and all 3 signs are to replace existing signs which currently exist today. This is part of a rebranding across Catholic Health, and not just this building, but all their facilities. They changed the logo. It's an updated logo, and other criteria, which is this is why we are proposing to. Yeah.
This is one of the signs, yes? that
Correct.
replaces- Okay, that's one.
Correct.
What is number 2 and number 3?
Okay, so number 2 is the sign that is, there are 2 wall signs where one is permitted. The one is up on the tower or the
All right.
penthouse of the building,
That's
which,
one.
that is one.
Number
The
2.
other one is facing the street. And that one actually is getting smaller from what's currently there now. So
You have, show us what it looks like and what it's going to look
so
like.
if you look on page 4,
It shows the, what's existing on this side is what's existing, and on this side is what's proposed. So it's going to go from the Cancer Institute at Good Samaritan Hospital to a much smaller sign, which is just going to say Cancer Institute. So this is over the entrance.
All right, that's getting smaller, that's good. And what's number 3?
And number 3 is a pylon sign, which is, it exists if you turn to page.
Got this?
Correct. That pylon sign is currently existing. It's proposed to change the sign itself and repaint or repair the cabinet. The sign, even though the denial says 24 square feet, it's really only 12 square feet because it's one face.
Is it the same size as the
It's
other?
the same size. We're just changing the panel, changing the logo, changing the wording of the panel, and repainting the cabinet.
So do we need to change the call of the meeting to make that 12?
No.
No?
No, what's being explained to you is that if the cabinet is more than 12 inches deep, then,
1.5 inches wider, and because of that, it needs to.
So we don't want to get in the way of the Catholics rebranding, is what.
We don't want to keep elderly people from getting the cancer treatment.
Yeah, there you go, it's even better.
It's a better way.
Lanny, do you have any comments on this besides those?
They made the things smaller, they took away the signs previously proposed.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to be heard in this application? If you could, please let her speak.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I've spoken before this board before. My name is Lisa Enciso, that's E-N-C-I-S-O. I live at 120 Beach Drive. I'm directly across, slightly diagonal from the Cancer Center. The last time I appeared before you was when the application was for a variance for the loading dock, for the generator, for it to be increased in size. And the point that I tried to make at that point was that they're requesting these small incremental changes and variances. Over time, it is having a dramatic effect on the quality of life, having to be the only residence that's affected by this stuff, and there's no oversight over what's happening. At the last meeting, we finished off with the board asking the hospital to be a good neighbor and to work with us on resolving some of the issues, being noise, traffic, trucks. There's a whole host of issues that go on down there. There have been some efforts to do that. They are not consistent. They are not adequate. Currently, the lighted sign that faces the street, we're the only ones that see it. I mean, we don't live on a through street. It's a dead end that ends at the marina. And I think part of this application is part of the problem with what's happening at my house is that these things are being done and then they're asking and getting for approval later. The last time I appeared before this board was probably almost 2 years ago at this point. Construction is still ongoing and has been ever since. Conditions have gotten terrible. The building, the Cancer Center itself, especially during the summer months, there's a constant humming coming from the building. I think primarily it's the HVAC system. The lighted sign also emits a little buzzing sound as well. The hospital's taken the stance that because it's not over 50 decibels, it's not something that needs to be addressed. There's a whole host of things that go on, and I recognize that this particular application is not necessarily the make or break of my existence at this house, but I need this board to be aware of how terrible some of these changes are making life. There are 2 houses that sit on Beach Drive itself, and how bad conditions are and how they have worsened severely in relation to the construction that's occurred over the last several years. I moved in 6 years ago. We cannot open windows. It's too loud. You can't sit in the yard. It's too loud. The conditions continue to get worse, and in part, it's because of these small applications that continue to pile up, and it's becoming a miserable place to live. It's absolutely miserable. It's not necessary to have huge signs that are outside of what the town calls for being appropriate, or multiple signs. There's already signs directing people to the Cancer Center that are on the corner of Montauk Highway and Beach Drive. And there's already an existing sign on the Cancer Center itself. why there needs to be 3 signs, a lighted sign, a sign that doesn't go off until I couldn't get clarification from the hospital. I was told that the lights will be on until 10 o'clock. The cancer center closes at 5 o'clock. It's unnecessary for it to be on that late. We're the only people that are bothered by that light. So again, I recognize nothing I'm going to say here is going to make or break this application. I need this board to be aware of. This does have an impact. All of these applications are cumulatively changing conditions living in this house, and there's very little that's being done to correct any of it. Thank you for your time.
Deirdre, can you show us where she lives in proximity?
No, it's
Ma'am,
down here. It's down here. It's at gate. It's at the entrance to that neighborhood to the east. So go a little north.
Just look at this.
on this?
Right there. North of the northernmost ball field. That's it.
My house is that house right next to the baseball fields.
Between the school.
And
Right there.
I directly face the parking lot, and the sign that they're talking about is right there.
That's a lighted sign?
The one that faces the street is a lighted sign, yes. Yep, that's my view.
Okay.
My window.
They're facing this side and they're facing this side.
That's it.
But no, those aren't lit.
The one on the street is.
Which one is
The
it?
ground sign.
The ground sign.
Yeah, but the one up here, is that lit?
No, and that's not, I have no issue with that sign. I just feel, especially since there is a constant buzzing from the building, the one that's lit up and it doesn't need to be lit up until 10. It's too much. It's overall, it's miserable being there. At some point, they had said they would consider changing the top building, portion of the building to block some of the noise from the HVAC. It hasn't. And it's just become, it's a miserable existence.
What can we do about the buzzing of the sign? I mean, I can
That's
understand.
the one that's on till
know.
10, right?
I don't know that the sign is the cause of the majority. The sign makes a little bit of sound. It's not the make or break. The HVAC system is the make or break. Again, I came because I was here before. You encourage them to work with us. They do. It works for a little bit, and then it's fine. The trucks are still coming all hours of the night. All of the things that we identified along the way. It's just, it's not, there's only 2 houses. And all of these applications just continue to make my house miserable.
It's a huge project, but
I understand.
how do these signs, I don't think they're the ones that are creating the issue here. You're talking about the one sign that's lit up.
Yeah.
That
It's
the issue is,
unnecessary.
it's lit up till it's 10 o'clock. That's the
Correct.
problem.
I think my other issue is too, is that, again, some of this stuff was already done outside of what the town calls for being reasonable before they asked for any kind of approval, right? This is the nature of how every single thing that transpires down by my house is occurring. Again, I don't know that I'm gonna live or die by this one sign. I'm not.
Seems to me, I don't know that they're going to be able to turn the sign off earlier, if that may be an accommodation.
They're supposed to be from, and again, I do still communicate with the folks at the hospital and try to make things livable. It is for a little bit, and then it's not. From what I was told.
Are they supposed to turn it off at a certain time?
From what I've been told, they're going to be on like a light sensor, and it should be, but I couldn't get a definitive answer whether it will be 10 o'clock or when they close at 5 o'clock. They're aware that I have an issue with it being later. And
And that's on the side street. That's not on Montauk Highway. That's
this one.
That's south of the high school, north of the ball field. Where you
That's
walk.
right across from
From the
my
ball
house
fields?
and the ball fields. That's where this entrance is the entrance to their parking lot from my driveway. This is the view from my driveway, is this sign and the parking lot entrance to.
How long have you been attempting to get them to ameliorate the effects?
So the last meeting for the FEMA modifications to the loading docks was when I established any kind of connection with.
You have to give a time. I don't know when
I
that
want to
was.
say it was possibly 2020.
It's
Yeah.
2019 it was.
And you're still going back and forth with them?
Every week.
Wow. Well, maybe there's something we can do about that.
It's the sound, it's the trucks.
Oh, we got it. We got it.
It's the traffic. It's bad.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
There is a crying baby. I thought it was a crying.
Maybe we should act just as expeditiously on this application as the hospital is dealing with this person. You'll see us in 3 years.
Is there anyone else that would like to be heard on this application?
Why should we be like racing to grant this application when
All right, I mean, with all due respect, yes, I agree with.
Okay, good, then you'll look into it.
What the neighbor said.
Good.
But what we're doing here, we're actually improving, we're changing these to newer signs. We're
No,
not.
no, no, I'm not asking about the signs, I'm about all these other things that I do now remember the hospital saying we'll address it, we'll talk. I do remember that now, that I remember the young lady came before us. So maybe you can report back to us.
What I can do is I can definitely put her in contact
Well,
with.
that's not working for her.
I would have more of a question along the signs. She has brought up the sign that's obviously illuminated until 10 o'clock.
Yes.
Anything you can provide
We can,
on that issue?
all right, I know for a fact the Cancer Institute is open till 6 PM. There is the other part of the building is the rehab and nursing. That I believe is open a little bit later. So, and it is important that this sign is illuminated only because it is a directional sign. It gives, directions to, anybody who may be coming to the rehab after hours.
And I understand it may not be 5 o'clock, but
Yeah.
it must be something between 5 and 10 then.
Yeah,
Some level of cooperation.
I'm sure I can reach out to my clients to come up with some,
So why don't we do that? Why don't we reserve decision, awaiting, see what your clients, you said you'd reach out to them, and see what changes they make to lessen these effects. Does
As
that
far
sound
as the
fair?
noise, I understand she says
Good.
it's buzzing. If that's something that needs to be repaired, we'll
Good,
look
then
into
we'll
it. It
wait.
could be
We'll
repaired.
wait.
Um,
You're not in a rush, are you?
If we have to come back, we'll come back.
You don't have to make-
This is what I do,
Something we should have.
and we'll try to come up with some kind of compromise that will accommodate the neighbor and the Catholic Health. Again, my limit here, my application is really for the signs only. I kindly ask that this board please respect that portion and not, I understand there's issues with the generator amongst other, HVAC. That that may be beyond my capabilities and what I can help out with, but I can definitely take, her information and, come up with agreement at least for these signs. And just to emphasize, these signs we're not creating any new signage. We're replacing and improving any signs which currently exist.
Do us a favor. You could just please give that young lady your business card.
Sure.
You could report back to your principals, at least one of the board members is not thrilled with the conduct. I remember them here telling us how they're going to rectify all of this. So you can report back to them. I know you're just here to sign application. It doesn't mean we have to blind ourselves to everything else. That wouldn't be fair.
No, I understand.
Reserve decision. That's my request. And then you can report back to us. Checking. So we have an idea of what's going on.
Okay.
Because apparently over the last 3 years, nothing has worked. That's not fair, is it?
No.
But it's up to our board.
We already had one. Anyone else like to be heard on this application?
I'd make a motion that we approve the application.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you all. Okay.
We're just going to go backwards and do a second call, a quick one, to the first page, application number 567-2023, SSP Royal Properties LLC. That's you guys. Permission to leave cellar entrance having side yard of 12 feet and egress window having side yard of 6 feet instead of required 14 feet each. Residence B District, north side of Floyd Street, 300 feet west of Lincoln Avenue, Brentwood. So you're
Hi.
not SSP Properties?
No, I don't know who this is.
That's not good. Did you buy the property from them?
I bought the property from Melvin something, Yanes.
Can you first state your name and address?
Hi, my name is Marlene Andre. I live at 119 Floyd Street, Brentwood, New York.
Was that the subject?
Andre? Andre.
Oh, she's a neighbor.
Your
I don't.
119.
This property's at 121.
I don't know. I got the letter. I don't know what this is.
No, you're here to speak about this property, though.
Why?
No?
Yes.
I don't know. I got a letter saying that my windows were like a little bit small, but I don't know what this is. So I just came. I don't want no problem.
You don't own the property at 121.
No, I do not.
You live there?
I live at 119, which is right next door. I'm not exactly sure what this is.
Does anyone own the property? Anyone here own the property at 119, 121, I'm sorry? Floyd Street, in Brentwood?
She got the letter.
No?
So you got a
Yeah.
public notice because you're a surrounding property owner. It's not your windows that are too small. It's the windows at 121 Floyd Street.
Right, the next door neighbor.
Thank you.
You're allowed to speak on it, but there's nobody
I want to
here.
speak on
So,
anything,
yeah.
to be honest.
I don't blame you.
The property owner did not show up for the hearing, so there may very well be another one, and you'll get another public notice. Just give us a call next time. You don't have to come down.
Okay.
Right.
If you oppose it, if you
Right.
don't object to it, you don't have to come and sit here all night.
All right, you can throw it in the garbage.
Thank you, because I sat here for 2 hours. I really didn't know what this was about.
I know.
I didn't want no
Sorry about it.
problems.
They didn't show up, so we second called it. And we don't know who's here, but only if you don't want us to grant this, do you have to show up. Otherwise.
I might need you guys to grant it because my house is the same way and I bought it like that. So, I'm all
As long
for
as
it
we
if
tell you
that's the
this.
case. But thank you. I could go?
You can go.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Oh,
What do you want?
oh, is it a full
You
moon?
know,
Yeah, we usually give them one more shot.
yeah, we were waiting till Dan showed up.
Yes, Dan, what the heck? Application number 578-23, Jose Jimenez and Lauren Ferrara. Permission to erect second-story additions and roofed-over porch, leaving side yard of 2.7 feet and 10.6 feet instead of required 18 feet each, and total side yards of 13.3 feet instead of required 36 feet. Residence AA District, east side of Oakwood Avenue, 457.97 feet north of Academy Street, Bayport.
Good evening. Eric Forensic, East Coast Design Build Incorporated, 207 Oakwood Avenue, Bayport, New York. Good evening, members of the board. My clients are looking to update the exterior and interior of their home. The front elevation of the home will be modern, farm-style, symmetrical look that will fit the neighborhood. We're asking for a side yard variance. Unfortunately, there is no way to avoid it. We aren't getting any closer to the side yard. We are simply building straight up. The property is long, but unfortunately narrow. The house is also at an extreme angle to the property line. If we were to follow the setback requirements, the house would be only 13.6 feet wide. The homeowners are a young couple with 2 young boys and are looking to remain in the neighborhood with the neighbors that they have already built great relationships with. I have photos to present to the board. They are the homes surrounding the property. They are all updated, some very recently, and will most likely not be looking to make any additions. A few of the neighbors wrote letters, and a few showed up tonight to speak in favor of the approval of the variance. I also presented you with plans of the front elevation, which I think you already had, but also of the floor plan to show that it's just simply 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a laundry.
Our problem is, at least my problem is, when you're already 2.7 feet from the property line instead of 18. And now you want to go up to the second floor. That's just way too overbearing. I understand it's existing. How it got there, I don't know, but then to compound it, I think that's problematic. I don't know how we ran for 2.7 feet to the second floor, but it's not even a yard from the next door neighbor's yard. I don't know how we ran.
The next door neighbor is actually here tonight to say he has no issue with it at all.
I don't think so. It's actually pretty clear. It's nice type stuff.
When you client, who knows where anybody moves, and this was run with the property. It's just so, I don't know what 2.7 in 18 is. It's probably about an 85% relaxation existing. Now you want to go up.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, like I stated, the property is very narrow.
But you gotta build the house to suit the property. You can't change the property to suit the house.
Yeah, we're only, going with the existing house and just going straight up. Mhm. We're within the height restrictions, we're in FAR, front yard setbacks, everything else, just the side yard. We wish we didn't have, if there was a plan B, we definitely wouldn't be in front of you tonight.
All I want to say is at the end of the day, I'm Jose Jimenez from 227 Oakwood Ave. All I'm saying is at the end of the day is, we're making the neighborhood look nicer, and the whole point I need that extension is for the look of the house. Other than that, it's not that I need that footage, but it's just the look of the house. Without that, it's pointless to put all that money into that house. And like I said, it's not that we're extending, it's already existing. I know what he's saying, but that was already granted prior. And at this point, it comes down to that for us, pretty much.
No, we understand. We get it. We want to, but we have to deal with what's there.
I understand that too as well, but at the same time, the footprint's already there. The footprint's already
The
there.
footprint is there, but not the second floor.
But what are we adding a couple feet? It's nothing, it's not like we're adding a crazy amount.
You're going up.
No, I understand. I get it. That was just my.
No, but understood. And if your neighbors had the same thing, and you said, look, now we're looking at a wall. How can you grant that?
But it's a pretty wall.
Good answer, good answer. Sounds like you're a lawyer.
For a second story, other than that, there's 11 and 8, there's 1, 13. So not everyone, but the 18 is push it. Yeah.
Does anyone else would like to be heard in this application? Sir, please come up.
Hi, I think this is going to be like an anomaly because everybody else I come up here is against everything. My name is Craig Boyer. My wife and I reside at 231 Oakwood Avenue. Boyer. I'm a retired Connecticut High School teacher and a U.S. Army veteran. We live at 231 for the past 12 years. We live next to 227 Oakwood. During our first years on our property, 227 Oakwood was in noticeable decline. On many occasions, as being a neighbor, I volunteered to clear debris, remove brush, trim vegetation, cut grass, bag leaves to help the homeowner because that's what neighbors do. On one occasion, when the house became vacant, I saw water pouring out of the side of the house. I called the fire department and the previous owner. A frozen pipe had just burst. Fire department shut off the water and electric, averting a disaster for the neighborhood. Jose and Lauren moved in 4 years ago, and they've been model homeowners. They've landscaped and put a lot of work into this property. Their renovations, in my opinion, will enhance the character of this house. This will also allow Jose, Lauren, and their 2 sons to have a better quality of life and, most importantly, remain in our neighborhood. This will enhance our community as well, since there are new houses that were built. They are making this house into their home, and it was always said that you can pick your neighborhood, but you can't pick your neighbors. We're blessed to have Jose, Lauren, Ben, and Henry, not just as our neighbors, but as our friends. I fully support their future visions. I hope the board does as well. And if a pipe should burst this time, at least we have a licensed plumber living there now. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to comment on this application?
No, that, we stated the case, it's pretty clear.
Obviously, the second story addition that the board has an issue with is the one that is 8.12 by 18.
Yes.
Is that something integral to the addition, like a staircase?
It's the bedroom. Staircase is already an existing staircase in the center of the house. Yeah, we looked at some Plan Bs, but there's unfortunately not, just the way the property is so narrow that it would be, what I say, 13.6 feet wide, any addition we put on there, which would be kind of odd and on an angle. So they're really looking to do this. The neighborhood's been building up, all new houses around it, everything's done. It's going to be an addition to the neighborhood. And if, unfortunately, I believe if they're not able to be granted, they're going to have to move somewhere else.
I'll make a motion to reserve this.
Okay, so can we do anything till then or just hold off, right? Okay, appreciate it. If you need to contact us, we'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Application number 579-23, John and Miriam Doremus. Permission to elevate dwelling and erect one-story addition leaving front yard of 24.6 feet instead of required 25 feet. To elevate deck leaving front yard of 19 feet instead of required 25 feet and side yard of 4 feet instead of required 15 feet. To relocate shed leaving front yard of 30 feet instead of required 60 feet. To elevate deck leaving rear yard of 5 feet and side yard of 4 feet instead of required 15 feet each. To install above-ground pool on lot having area of 6,000 square feet instead of required 12,000 square feet, and leaving side yard of 6.85 feet and rear yard of 7.6 feet instead of required 25 feet each, all having floor area ratio of 44% instead of permitted 30%. Residence BAA District, southwest corner of Sloop Walk and Central Walk, Summer Club.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board and the planning department. My name is Eric Schiller, ERIC. SCHILLER. I'm an architect representing John and Miriam Doremus. I'd like to begin by modifying and clarifying the call. There is no intention to build a swimming pool. There's an existing hot tub which was approved on the C of O ZBA 067-2019. The intention is only to elevate that existing hot tub. Now, I have measured that hot tub and have determined that it was built oversized. It is not the intention to maintain an oversized. Yes, sir.
Right, that portion of the poll calendar that reads install.
It should,
Above ground pool on lot having area of 6,000, strike that?
I'd like to modify it to strike this portion. I'd like to, so I'd like to strike the language that says above ground pool on lot having area of 6,000 square feet instead of required 10,000 square feet. That phrase I would like to strike. And I would like to insert in its place 3 words, a hot tub. So what happened here is that, well, I know that it's a few square feet too large. And
A few doesn't help us.
we're going to tear it down and make it 49 square feet. We're going to make it a conforming hot tub by the,
Hang on a second, so that you are looking to strike to install above ground pool on lot having area of 6,000 square feet. If it's going to be conforming, it doesn't have to be.
it's not going to be conforming in terms of its location. We want to keep the setback variance on the location for a hot tub.
So, we're going to strike, starting with to install above ground pool on lot having area of 6,000. So we're going to strike instead of required 12,000 square feet. And then that's going to throw off your floor area ratio setback.
No, if you just insert the word hot tub instead of the phrase above ground pool on lot,
You don't have to put the hot tub in if you said it's going to conform. You don't have to put it in. Like, we don't have to put in the type of dishwasher you're going to use.
it does have to be in because of the rest of the sentence, leaving side yard setback of 6.8 feet and rear yard of 7.6 feet instead of, and then this should not read required 25 feet each, which is for a swimming pool. It should say instead of required 10 feet each, which is for a hot tub. Is that right, Mary?
What do you want to do with the setbacks?
Well, we want to keep them as they are, 7.6 in the rear and 6.85 on the side. We just want to maintain the existing setbacks. It's an existing hot tub. It got built too big, so it's not, we're going to rebuild it so it's actually a hot tub at 49 square feet. But the rest of the variance we want to rebuild, we're,
Setbacks require 25 feet on the hot tub?
no, the setbacks on a hot tub are 10 on the rear, 10 on the side.
Change that for you.
Is that okay, Mary?
Well.
I mean, not is it approvable, am I saying it correctly?
When the hot tub got smaller, you would be eliminating one of the yards, either side or rear.
Well,
I'm making a suggestion. to
Yes,
the
sir.
board. This is too many changes. My brain can't handle it. Why don't you resubmit what you want, not what was said this afternoon or what you want to change, and then we'll have a clearer picture. We're kind of in the dark. You know what you want, but you know
And
fast.
you don't know exactly.
I can show you exactly what it is.
Sure I said?
I did, but
Come back.
because we'd like to get going with the project.
We're giving you the clue that we can't follow it with these changes. You're saying, oh, no, let me just explain to you, but it's not sinking in.
I brought graphics to explain it.
That's not helping us at this late stage. I'm telling you, you should search it.
Okay.
Come back.
I want to move this forward, so would you be willing to hear it if I just took the whole hot tub piece of it out of this? Because I can make the hot tub conforming.
You want us to deny the pool area?
Take the pool out of it, take the hot tub out of it.
Okay.
That's all I'm asking you to modify, okay?
And everything else is staying the same?
Yes.
The FAR?
Well, I'd like to speak to the FAR. I thought that 44%, what we're doing is we're just elevating an existing house and existing decks. And we were hoping to elevate the decks with the house. I understand that 44% FAR, if we just elevate everything as it is, that FAR is going to be too high for precedence by about 2.6%. Is that right?
No. You make the presentation, we ask questions. So if it's 44 and you're telling us that there's no precedent.
No, the precedent is at 41, so I'll modify it to 41.
All right, so right now we have then erect a one-story addition in the front yard of 24.6 feet instead of required 25.
Yes.
Elevate deck, leaving front yard of 25 instead of required 20, I'm sorry. Leaving the front yard of 19 instead of required 25. Side yard of 4 instead of required 15. Relocate shed, leaving front yard of 30 instead of required 60. Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay, elevate deck, leaving rear yard of 5 instead of 5 feet, side yard of 4 instead of required 15 feet each.
Yes.
Strike new information about the pool, all having floor area ratio of 41% instead of 30.
Yes, sir.
Planning, do you have any comments on the?
No objections to the modifications. There's two precedent cases with 41.6 and 41.5, or actually 41.7. But
Can I modify the call to be 41.7 in that case? Okay, so be it.
Is there anyone else who'd like to be heard on this application? Any other questions?
If we deny the pool, does that also include denying the setbacks? So we're denying the pool and the setbacks around the pool.
Well, they withdrew that part of the application, so,
So that's the pool and the setback.
yeah, they might come back for the hot tub.
We might. Frankly, I think I could make it work with conforming setbacks, and that's what I'm going to try to pitch, just to simplify everything.
All right. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion that we grant the application as amended.
Second. Was the amended application?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought Don read the whole call to amend the whole call.
That's true, I apologize. He wasn't amending
Oh, I thought he was.
I really was.
I'm sorry, I'm not following this.
Okay, then here's what we're going to do. Let's strike that. Let me do this. I'm going to make a motion that we deny so much of the application seeking the above-ground pool, and setbacks at 6.85 and 7.6, and deny the floor area ratio of 44%, but grant 41% as well as the remaining elements in the.
That works for us.
All in favor? Aye. All right, there you go. Modified application.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, committee.
All right.
We didn't amend anything.
Yeah.
Well, the amendment didn't.
We only amended the FAR.
Need my card?
So.
To make it work.
So if you want to grant the pool, deny the pool, then grant all the setbacks.
Who did what?
Do you have anything you want?
No, I hope not.
Application number 580-23, Phyllis Ferrantello. Permission to install in-ground pool leaving second front yard of 26 feet instead of required 35 feet and 5-foot fence leaving front yard of 5 feet instead of required 10 feet. Residence AA District, northwest corner of Union Street and Walnut Avenue, Bohemia.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman, Madam Secretary, members of the board. Steve Bertolino for the applicant, 130 West Main Street, East Islip, New York. If the members recall, I was here back in March 14th of this year. We had an old barn that was coming down. We got permission to raise the barn and rebuild a new barn, or I should say a pool house in its place in the same footprint. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because at that time, I did mention to the board that this pool application was coming. It was not under my purview at the time, but it seemed to find its way back to my plate. That being said, in the interim, there was some, how should I say, confusion because of the code change in the March 14th hearing. We were unaware of this code change that happened earlier that day. and there was some issue as to whether or not the application for the pool house would have grandfathered in, if you will, at that moment in time, a bathroom that was in the cabana as presented. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because the applicant is now seeking to install the swimming pool to go along with the pool house. And the call of that meeting simply said accessory structure. So I'd like to start off with asking the board to incorporate into this hearing the minutes of the hearing from March 14th, where I specifically set forth, and I happened to watch that this afternoon, that application was for a pool house. Mr. Wexler, you look perplexed.
No, that was a separate hearing.
It was, but when we went to file the building permit, zoning department denied the permit for the pool house because that call of the meeting simply said accessory structure. My understanding is that internally, the town attorney's office, and Ms. Light may attest to this, may have circulated a memo that we should be grandfathered in as a pool house under that application. And what I'm looking to do, if this board saw fit to grant the application for the swimming pool, is to at least go forward with our permit for the accessory structure, which is going to be a pool house. And we can work out the details later administratively with the town attorney's office and or the zoning department so that we can hopefully get a permit for the pool and a permit issued for the pool house. And this board is aware of it.
The only thing before us is what's in the public calendar today.
That's
All you're seeking.
yes, today, and for clarification for the previous hearing, if this board, saw fit, so that we don't have to come back a third time and rehear that.
I don't know if we can give clarification on something we've already decided and determined.
But I don't know that I need the board to give clarification. I want the record to set forth, if this board would at least admit, as part of this application,
My lawyer told me to make no admission.
well, don't admit it, but in that sense, if this board would allow me to submit the record from the March 14th hearing, which specifically set forth the application was for a pool house as part of this application. It's just looking to make things administratively instead of coming back in front of the board.
Something that we can do, we will. It's in the record, it's in the record. Our lawyer.
Right, so the question is adopting these minutes.
Well, that I don't think there's a problem.
There's
But
no-
that-
yeah, no
but
objection to
that,
that.
I don't see there's a problem. The next thing is though making some sort of finding or recommendation.
No, I'm not looking for a finding.
Just asking for the minutes to be included.
That's all you-
Yes,
Okay.
but I want the board to understand why. That's all. Because I know it's been a long night.
All right.
Okay, that being said, I did mention March 14th that this application was coming. What we have here is the swimming pool is 26,
We make a motion then to include those minutes from the March 14th hearing. Make a motion for that. Second. All in favor? Okay.
the application is for a swimming pool at 26 feet off the second front yard of Walnut Avenue when it's required to be 35 feet. I will point out to the board that the location of the swimming pool is set back behind the lot line of the house. And at the time in March, I did hand up this survey, and Mr. Wexler, you did say that, oh, I understand you would want some space between the pool house and the pool, and I said, yes, we would. So you were given this survey once before. Hopefully the board, sees that it is a good application on the swimming pool. The other part of the application is the fence. I would point out that the fence is set back about 17 feet from the curb. It is a 5-foot-high fence. It's supposed to be 10 feet off the lot line. It is only 5 feet, but the lot line is about 12 feet from the curb line. In addition, this opaque fence, and I want to point that out because you did have that application earlier with the estate fencing, is 120 feet from the corner of Union Street and the intersection of Walnut Avenue. So it's not a visibility issue with respect to line of sight on the corner in traffic. It's more of a nature and character of the area. From my understanding, is the house diagonally across from this one also has a PVC fence pretty much close to the street, and up and down the blocks.
When you say it's opaque, explain that since it's proposed, tell us what the fence is going to be.
It's a PVC vinyl fence.
How's that opaque?
Well, you can't see through it.
No, I'm sorry. I misspoke. You're right. You can't see through it. It's solid.
Well, the one that we
Yeah. You could see through it. Right. Oh, well, I'm just informed that the top 1 foot is visible. It's got like lattice, if you will, going through it or slots.
First 4 foot is not opaque, and the top has the.
It's open.
That's-
And that's where my confusion came in.
Okay, one more question. Is this or proposed?
The fence? The, f-
It's fine, we just want to make sure we.
the, f- the fence is existing. Survey should show the fence, Mr. Chairman.
We have pictures of the fence, because it says proposed. Not on the cell phone.
I only have the aerial shot I can hand up.
Have you seen the fence?
Yes, I have.
And you'll represent to the board that it's 4 feet, is not opaque, and the top 1 foot is slats?
Yes.
You like that? Okay. I'll accept it.
I didn't take out my ruler and measure it, but from what I understand, that is the measurement.
Fine shape.
Do you have any comments on this?
There is kind of a fence precedent, a 6-foot fence was allowed in the second front yard. It was a smaller property, but it's a 6-foot fence that was allowed on the property line. This is at least pushed back and it's not.
I think that since it's 17 feet from the curb,
Right.
that ameliorates the pain of a non-conforming fence.
Is there anyone else that like to be heard in this application?
I'll make a motion, we approve the application.
I'll second it. All right.
Thank you. At least we know what open pavement means.
Application number 581-23. Julia Christ and Christopher Samansky. Permission to erect one-story addition, 6.5 by 21.3, and roofed-over entry platform, leaving front yard of 16.75 feet instead of required 40 feet, side yards of 1.2 feet and 13.4 feet instead of required 14 feet each, and two-story addition, 22.8 by 29.8, leaving side yards of 2.9 feet and 11.3 feet instead of required 14 feet each, all having total side yards of 12.5 feet instead of required 28 feet, and floor area ratio of 26.3% instead of permitted 25%. To install window well, leaving side yard of 6 feet instead of permitted encroachment setback of 11 feet. To erect detached garage, leaving side yard of 1.5 feet instead of required 4 feet. And to leave driveway on side property line not having required setback of 4 feet. Residence A District, east side of Irish Lane, 205.4 feet south of Cary Street, East Islip.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Amy DeVito, Woodhull Expediting, with offices at 800 Veterans Memorial Highway, Hauppauge, New York.
Can I ask you a question? We'll get right to the.
Sure.
We had one of these earlier.
Yes, we did.
Let's look at the easterly proposed two-story addition. And I see the proposed covered stoop, but let's talk about the proposed two-story addition. What is the distance to the property line?
11.3 feet
That's 11.3. Okay.
to the side. Are you talking about to the southerly property line?
The westerly,
Oh, what's the distance? from-
North.
the north, all right, the north. Oh, the north, yes, the northwest.
I'm sorry, Mr. Wexler, can you say that again?
Point it out to you. Right here, the one that seems to be really, here, I'm going to point it out. I did it this way around.
distance.
I'm sorry, take a look at that, please. See where I drew the arrow?
Yes.
Okay, what is that distance to the property?
Um,
It actually doesn't appear to be on the survey, but just by eyeballing it. It's opposite the 13.4, Deirdre. It says 2.9, building 2.9.
That's what I thought.
I can't
That's what I
actually
thought.
see.
Yeah,
it. Oh, yes, I do.
It's
Okay,
on-
yeah. Well, your arrow crossed it out.
Okay, so here's my question to you. Just like the other one.
You want me to give it to him?
It's 2.9, which is really, really, really close.
Right.
Jordan won.
Okay. It's 2.9. We told somebody it was a no-go when it was 2.7.
We actually reserved.
Oh, we reserved. We expressed concern.
Right.
How do we take a really compromised situation and then further compromise it?
Well, the thing is that I know that it's only 2.9 feet, but this is an existing two-story dwelling, certified that way. And we are just extending back beyond that two-story dwelling. So we're not actually adding a second floor to the existing dwelling. It already exists.
How far back are you going?
29.8 feet.
That's also, I mean, it's a two-story addition, which is really close to the property line, and now you want to extend it almost 30 feet, continuing two-story, in a compromised position. I think it's a big ask.
Well, let me just point out to you that the neighboring property, number 31, was granted a variance to stay within line of their existing setbacks by this board or previous board, wherein they also have a very similar lot, 40 feet wide, a deep lot, and they were permitted to stay within their setbacks to have the second floor erected and the addition. So this proposal that we are coming before you for tonight is actually consistent with the neighboring property. So it's not going to look out of character. And unfortunately, because of the very short width of this property, we can only go back and up.
So we granted the same thing to the neighboring property?
The setbacks were slightly different, but only because of how their house was placed on the property and skewed.
But I think Deidre is digging it up because we granted the same thing.
Yes, Deirdre and I discussed this earlier, actually, so. The only, I think, issue is that I'm not sure that the addition was the same size as this one is. Well, square footage it might not have been, but it's most certainly consistent with the setbacks. And if you look at the aerials of the neighboring property,
What's the length of the addition? Because that was, you brought it up rightfully.
Of course.
You want to compare it rightfully.
Mhm.
What was the length of the addition of the next door neighbor?
it's consistent with ours. If you look at the aerials, the houses will be almost exactly the same.
It was 30 feet, 29.8?
What would you say, Chris? Yeah, it's probably a little bit more than this. Also, before I forget, I do have plans for the board to see, and I also have 2 letters of support from both neighbors.
Inches, so
You do know.
there.
I'm not sure about that, because on the plans they submitted for that specific ZBA, it looks like the second story that are much smaller. If you're going from a 30-foot, if your house is already at 2.5 story, right? It's 2 stories. The half story, I think, is what they're calling that front. Thank you. Almost 30 feet at 2 stories, and you're adding another 30 feet. So you're doubling that mass going back. The neighbors didn't do that. At least according to this one group. That there might be something there that's not part of this.
Thank you, Jay.
But this,
I think we need to
this is the
study
second
that,
story
to be fair.
that were added. It's just these 2 front ones.
That's the next door neighbor.
This is the next door neighbor.
Oh,
It's just
that's-
these 2.
Oh,
So it's
that's tiny.
It's number 31, which is the house, if you're facing the house to the left. Do you guys have an aerial?
You want to come over?
Yeah, okay.
Showing us?
Yeah, why don't you show Deidre?
Cut back.
Or you go back to the other
Yeah.
one?
So this is what was submitted for that grant. It's just these 2 second-story additions. It's existing as a second story, but
That's
in
all.
that call of the ZBA, they just were asking for these 2 second stories to go up in the footprint. And that's where like the side yard of the 2.5 was granted. And can you go back to the area?
Well, we can grant you that.
Let's see, your house is, maybe their house is a little bit longer, but you're doubling the length of your house. This is the 2020 area? I can pull up a newer area. They might have added stuff on it, but as far as the grant goes, the grant was
Yeah.
one for smaller.
Should we adjourn this so we can compare? Because it looks like what we granted was a lot smaller.
Yeah, I don't, when I was looking at the aerials earlier, the house looks like it doubled in size. That's why yeah, I understand. But I would just like to, while I'm here, I would just like to say that, and I'll reiterate this, we are merely staying within the already established setbacks. We are not expanding out of it. We also already have an existing two-story house. So yes, we are going back, and we're going ever so slightly over FAR, which I know that the percentage we're asking is within what the board would typically grant. So we're not here to request more square footage that we're not permitted to. We're here to request to just go back because of how the house is skewed on the property and the curve of the property line. There is nowhere else to go. If they're going to remain in this house for their expanding family, this is their option.
We have to see the other property, and that's what I think is, at least in my opinion, where the board is going to have to stay within.
Okay, we could foil the property and get some photos, et cetera. I'm sorry?
Take an adjournment?
I would, if that's going to be something that the board will, take into consideration to grant this application, then yes.
Hopefully.
Well,
If.
consider it a grant, if.
Yes, we'll take it into consideration.
I also just want to say on the record that I did hand up to the board plans to see, so that you could see the elevations of what we're proposing when it's complete, and also 2 letters of support, one from the right neighbor and one from the left neighbor. Neither one of them have any objections to what we're proposing today. And those 2 properties that I speak of, number 31 is almost exactly the width of the property we are proposing today, or the subject property. And then there's also a home behind the subject premises that is also just about this width and appears to have a relatively larger 2-story home on it as well. I could foil that one too.
October 3rd. So you want to take an adjournment till October 3rd?
Yes.
Take a motion to adjourn it till October 3rd. Are you?
Did you guys have any questions about any other aspects of the,
Well, I think on the October 3rd calendar, you'll present everything to us. And we can.
okay, so we'll just go over it again.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn this matter to October 3rd.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, it's adjourned.
Thank you.
Yes, I just had to do the same. I ran out of the room.
Should we take a 10-minute recess before we hear Mr. Berlin?
No, let's take a 45-minute recess.
I'm hourly.
And he's rich.
Alan.
You're right, it's not rich, it's Alan.
He's rich.
Can I just say, I had to go outside and look up opaque, and I was right. Opaque, you can't see through it. And you guys, I'm like, what the?
I was confused.
I was like, you guys confused me.
Earlier, we'd spoken of the part of the fence ordinance which allows additional height if a fence is no more than 15% opaque.
Opaque, right.
It's written in such a funny way that it was trying to describe a chain link fence.
And mine is not a chain link.
Okay.
Are you taking a break?
Explaining why we don't know what a word means on high school.
It's been a long time.
Ready? Natasha's ready. Application number 582-23, Alan and Rachel Medvin, permission to leave one-story addition having rear yard of 9.8 feet instead of required 25 feet, shed having side yard of 5 feet and rear yard of 9.4 feet instead of required 10 feet, pergola having side yard of 5 feet instead of required 10 feet, hot tub having front yard of 27.8 feet instead of required 60 feet and side yard of 8.7 feet instead of required 10 feet, air conditioning unit having side yard of 6.3 feet instead of required 10 feet, and decking having rear yard of 9.4 feet instead of required 15 feet. Residence BAA District, east side of Dune Way, 200 feet south of Central Walk, Seaview.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Again, Steve Bertolino, 130 West Main Street, East Islip, New York, for the applicant. So this structure was built in 1975 by the applicant's grandfather. The applicant had purchased a house from his uncles a couple of years ago, and he now resides there in the summer with his wife and 2 children. I tell you that because one of the hardships is you take it as you find it, as we know. What happened was in 1975, when the house was built, there was an accessory structure in the rear which measured approximately 21 feet north to south by 12 feet. And as common on Fire Island, their accessory structures were sheds. They were often made into bedrooms. But this particular one was built with a lavatory inside, which was noted on the CO as a 3rd lavatory, and it was a bedroom from the beginning. Separating that, we'll say cottage in the back from the main structure was a 3-foot wide, narrow area that the outdoor shower was in. And the dwelling structure roof actually came over the outdoor shower. So the 2 structures were kind of married from the beginning, and somewhere in the mid-1980s, Mr. Roth, the grandfather, actually connected the 2 structures together. The reason that's important, excuse me, is that the property owners most affected by this application, which would be behind the property and over to the north of the property, have been looking at this same structure, if you will, since mid-1975 or mid-1970s. And it,
I'm sorry, we can't follow which structure was married.
well, that's the whole point, Mr. Wexler. You cannot discern from the survey or the plans because it's been that way for over 40 years. So, and
Which one on the survey? Oh, it's, okay. Oh, these 2, okay, now I see how it was married. Okay, so it's the easterly portion.
yes, the very back,
They were married and now they live in connubial bliss.
yes, they do. And from what I understand, that is the master bedroom in the back. It's almost impossible to partition them away from each other. But more importantly, as I was saying, the most affected property owners nearby, we've submitted 4 letters in support. All 4 of those people are the persons or homeowners most affected by this application. The other applicant to the south, that house is about 100 feet away. There is a it's not single and separate, so they cannot partition it, subdivide it, and build. With that being said, with respect to the decking, we're just looking to put a pergola over the existing deck where the kitchen area is. And then we have the existing hot tub, which I'm told has been there since the 1980s. I'm told that hot tub may be replaced, but that hot tub has a 27-foot setback when the code now requires 60 feet. As this board knows, it was only a few short years ago where the setback is 25 feet, and that has been now changed to 60. For whatever reason, the hot tub has been there for 40 years but has never been CO'd. All of the other parts of the application, I won't say de minimis, but we definitely have precedent. This board has granted many times in Seaview and in other parts of Fire Island, similar relaxations. I have many cases that I can cite if the board wants. If the board has questions, we can go through them. But I think this does keep in the nature and character of the area. I think the benefits to the applicant far outweigh any detriment to the community. There'll be no adverse environmental impact if the board had questions on that front. And I respectfully request that the board grant the application in all respects.
What is it that we don't have precedent for, but you say it doesn't?
It's, you know, and this is the funny part. It's the fact that the main dwelling is only 9.8 instead of the required 25. If it was an accessory structure, which it was when it was built, if it was a shed, so to speak, or, you know, and we'll call it a cottage, which I know, Mr. Wexler, you're familiar with what's out there on Fire Island, it could be 10 feet off. But because it's attached to the main structure, it requires a 25-foot setback.
Well, what do we have? All right, assuming that.
Well-
One structure, it's 9.8 instead of 25. What do we have similar?
Well, what I have about 700 feet away is that there was a dwelling was relocated on, give me the property once, number 16 Bayview and Beachwald, which is B Street. This is over on D. It was 6 feet instead of the required 25 in Seaview. I have other ones with respect, 6 feet instead of required 25. That's under application 763-22. It was yes, Mr. Wex, it was just relocating the dwelling and elevating it, I guess, to FEMA elevations. And it had a requirement of 25 feet, and it was granted 6 feet instead of required the 25, with the second story addition, rear yard of 15.8 instead of required 25.
So we have a 6-footer, it's not in the 500-foot radius, but, so I'm assuming there's nothing in the 500-foot radius. What do we have also, other than 6 feet? Is that a one-off, or do we have a bunch in that?
Well, I have other ones with sheds and accessory structures, but none for the main dwelling. This is 12.1 and 13.4. On which one? That's the second story addition. Put it for rear.
My concern is, I understand the issue, but Berlin, I think we should preserve on this, because how do we create, I mean, we're creating 9.8, and that's going to be put in our face every single time somebody comes here and says, look, you gave this, and it's not an accessory structure, it's not a cottage, it's not a shed, it's the main dwelling. And how do we not, we won't be able to distinguish it.
Well, I think it is distinguishable, and my client just pointed out, that there's another one. Again, it's not within 500 feet, it is within Seaview. It's under application 715 of 08, permission to erect a second story addition. This is only a first story with a rear yard of 12.1, not again 9, but 12.1 instead of 25. And in 372 of 03, we have one leave a deck with 6 feet and a second front yard of 5.7 instead of 15. Well, and you know, the argument to that, just think about what we heard earlier this evening, where you had dogs and cats yelling at each other and loud music. I would certainly submit that if you had an open deck at the beach and people were hanging out and partying on the deck, that could be a lot more intrusive. Well, that's,
never been the test.
well,
We always treat a structure different than the deck.
I understand that, but I would certainly argue that if you're worrying about noise and neighbor complaints, the inside of a dwelling is different.
I was just worried about the precedent setting 9.8 feet as the main dwelling. It's not accessory structure.
The practical difficulty we have is there's really no way to break these structures now apart. They've been reconfigured internally and externally. And here's the other part of it, Mr. Wexler, as I said at the onset. Even if you were to unmarry them, if you were to divorce them and put that 3-foot separation back somehow, the neighbors behind and to the side would still be looking at the exact same structure. The same wall, the same height, nothing changes.
We're not going to be able to deny next week when somebody says, I want 9.8 instead of 25.
Well, I would disagree. I would say this one has been there for 40 years, whereas somebody walking next week, if Mr. Schiller walked in next week, or Mr. Graham or myself walked in and said, hey, look, I just have a vacant lot next door, I want to build at 9.8, you can say absolutely not. The distinguishable factor is this structure has been there since 1975. It's been married since the mid-1980s. There's never been a complaint on the property, and all the neighbors that would be most affected are all in support. There's the distinguishing factors.
I understand, but I don't think that's proper zoning to say, since it's been there for 40 years, you should allow it. And then you can deny, if we grant this in 3 weeks, but you can deny the next person because they're applying now. It wasn't legal when it was built. So it's not as though it's grandfathered, just because it's there 40 years doesn't, I understand the practical difficulties, but we're going to be left with 9.8 instead of 25. And that's substantial.
And see, I agree with you. I do agree with you. Your perspective about it's been there for 40 years, therefore it should get approved. I agree that shouldn't be the test. I certainly think it becomes part of what the community expects from that piece of property. But on the other side of it, to distinguish between somebody coming in with a new application and saying, this is what I want to build, versus this is what's here, this is how it happened, this is how long it's been, and nobody's objecting to it. I think that's distinguishable so that this board's hands are not tied, saying, well, now we gave it to the Medvin family, we have to give it to the Smith family. I think you can distinguish that all day long, and maybe someday you have to throw that out at me and say, sorry, Steve, you don't get that one approved because it's not right.
I understand, but I think if I was sitting at the Supreme Court and we denied the next one, and they said, look at this application, I'd be wondering, what are they talking about? And I don't know if it's what the community expects from a big piece of property is one of the elements we use, but I understand.
Well, some of the case law that I've read on zoning matters, Mr. Wexler, clearly say that the benefits to the applicant have to be taken into consideration by the board. You can't, you,
What the community expects of a particular piece of property.
well, it's what they've come to.
What the community expects.
Well, we know from the letters of support that we've handed out that the community, the immediate community, the ones that are most affected, are certainly in support of this application. And with respect to the benefits to the applicant, it is certainly one of the tests that the board has to consider and cannot be brushed aside merely because we're worried about what might happen in the future.
I'm not brushing aside, taking in that there's no precedent. And
Well, there's no precedent for 9.8, but there is precedent for 12s. There is precedent, for even for 6 that's, I don't know that 500 feet is not something that, if we're talking about Supreme Court matters, 500 feet is not necessarily written in stone either in the town law.
use that test for 30 years. So, and we'd be arbitrary and capricious if we adopted a different standard.
Well, under town law, you and I both know what needs to be presented to the board. I think I've made my presentation. Hopefully I'm persuasive enough that the board sees that this application, again, meets the criteria. I don't need to repeat it. The board knows what they are, and hopefully the board sees fit to grant it.
So the documents that were submitted in 1974, right before the house got in CO in May of 75, were very good. I'm wondering if, and it clearly says frame building in the back, to what you're referring, and clearly the third bathroom is in it because it's not by process of elimination in the floor plan that
Yeah.
exists for the house. Are there any other documents that might have referred to the structure as, because a guest cottage was legal until 1987. So it was legal to have a guest cottage with a bathroom, just no cooking or dining,
And there's no cooking and dining in there now. It was a lavatory, it was a bedroom. From what I understand, there was a washer and dryer in there as well, which has since been relocated, and this has been made into the master bedroom.
I'm surprised zoning didn't write this up like we see sometimes when somebody tries to attach a detached garage to a house by a by addition. I'm kind of surprised zoning didn't write it up, usually one-story addition attaching former guest house.
But because there's a distinction, we're not asking to get approval to build this structure. This structure has been there. It was only that adjoining, again, we'll call it a breezeway. It was a roof overhang. The outdoor shower was in between the two. And that was connected over the years. That's what we have. So yes, if the call of the meeting were different, we might be having a different conversation, but the end result is the same.
There's a little confusion about the other accessory structure,
No, I get that. I get that.
Did I miss it in the beginning? Did you give the square footage of that infill that we did? Was it about 180 square feet?
Well, yes, because what happened was the infill connecting the two was only about 3 feet, but there was like an angle. I'm sure you can see it on the survey. In the back of the main dwelling, there was an angled portion that was filled in, but that meets all the setback requirements. It was only that infill connecting the two. after I see the board having a little consultation up there, I mean, would it be beneficial to the applicant to amend the call of the meeting to make that connection? Is that something that the board feels that it may help with precedent setting?
I think they understand the application.
Thank you.
Does anyone else like to be heard in this application?
I heard approve.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion that we reserve. Second. Yes. All in favor? Yeah. All in favor? All right.
Thank you for your consideration. Thanks.
Oh, man, we were.
We
did number one.
No, the one lady came, well, no, the one lady didn't. Has anybody arrived on the application of Pierre Marie Toro? We'll contact them tomorrow and we'll see what went wrong. No? Has anybody arrived on application number 567-23, SSP Royal Properties? We'll contact them tomorrow and we'll see what went wrong. Okay, oh, Anita, how many do we have to renew tonight? We have 12 accessory apartments to renew for a period of 3 years. We have a motion.
Motion. Second. All in favor?
And then we only have one application to read into the record. Yep. And it's a split vote, so pay attention.
Take one, pass it down. Pass it down, so.
And Natasha does it. Yes, Natasha, yes. Here's what you want? All right, there you go. Okay, application number 437-23. Gerard Sentuchnik and Susan Reich. In accordance with the proposed written decision dated September 5, 2023, the application is denied with regard to the side yard of 4 feet and granted with regard to the front yard. On motion of
Motion.
Mr. Wexler in dissent, being of the opinion that the application should be granted its entirety. And that's a wrap. Well done. Thank you.
Oh.
You don't read that? That's a requirement. You gotta read that every time. What's an application?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's done.
This is their thing. Oh, it's.